Good evening, everybody. Good evening. We're at the end of the weekend. That's not good. But it is the end of the weekend. I just realized it was Sunday. So, welcome, everybody. It is Sunday Night Live with your host, Tanya. I'm always the host. What am I talking about? I saw Crime Curious was in here. Thank goodness, because if someone knows this case, that's the person. That's the person that will know it. Teresa's here, Glowbug. I love that name. Selena. Hi, everybody. I know, look at the, we're doing good on subscribers. We're doing really good. I'm excited. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Let me start my camera here because I'll probably have my camera off for the most part because I'll be doing a lot of reading tonight. So I do want to say hello to you guys. Also, hopefully you guys had a really good week and a good weekend. So let's see. How's the weather where everyone's at? Because it was very cold here today again. It's like 31 degrees here. That's crazy. We're in March. My watch just like beeped at me. Good evening, Amanda. So I see how we got some people in here. Scorpelina said hello, hello. Okay, I'm just going through the chat because I like to see everybody that's in here. So, oh yeah, freezing 31 now. Yeah, it's cold here too. I'm like, I don't like this weather. I'm not down for this. I thought that it was going to be spring. I thought it was going to be, but it hasn't yet. So, let me make sure everything's set up in the chat. I think everything's set up. Still cold where everyone else is at too? Well, that's not fun. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button when you guys come in, sometimes I forget to tell you guys, but usually I remember. There is a lot to this case. There is so much. So if you haven't realized, if you're like looking on the screen, you're like, who is this little boy on the screen? That's Gannon Stauch. This case, I started digging into it probably like a week ago, and it's literally like the biggest rabbit hole you could go down because the woman that's accused of, hurting this little boy has done everything and anything to just make this even harder on the family than it needs to be. So it's just insane to me. So I'm glad that everybody is here. We're going to make this a whole learning experience for everybody. What was I going to say? I did put out a couple videos today. I put out 2 videos. I was going to actually save one and put it out tomorrow, but I ended up doing 2 more last night after the live. I pre-recorded them. So those will be out tomorrow. One of them is, let me see, actually. I want to make sure I tell you the right names. Actually, I can't. But one of them is just an Idaho 4 update. It's a small update we talked about on the live last night. So it's not a huge update. It's just the one about Kaylee's sister. And then I did a video on Grayson Hurt. So make sure that you check out that video. Those will be coming out tomorrow. So I figured we'll start with the players of the game. That's what who we're going to be talking about tonight. I did take I got a lot of my timeline, like pretty much all of my timeline from Crime Curious. Chef's kiss perfection on timelines. If you, if you know me, you know my channel. I do timeline videos for every big case that we cover. This case, I don't know how you did it, but you did it. Like, I would have never been able to put a good timeline together for you guys. So I'm really grateful and thankful. So if you haven't checked out her website, check it out. Check out her channel. She does have some stuff on there. Let me do the channel. Let me grab the channel for you. Let me put it in there. Let me put the her channel in there. But I was very impressed. Because this is one of those cases, there's so many twists and turns that I would have never been able to probably get this together for you guys, so I'm glad that I was able to. And this is for her page here. Yeah, we'll get you up. We're gonna get you up there some subscribers. I mean, like the stuff that like this is really good stuff. Like I'm really excited. So this is Gannon Stauch, 11 years old, cute as can be, has a gap in his teeth like I did at his age. So when I saw this picture, I was just like, oh my Lord. It's like a little me and boy form at that age because I had the little gap. Everyone used to tease me, and I used to be like, my mom used to say, you're fine with the way you look. And when I got older, it just grew in. He just didn't get the chance to be older for that to happen. Also, I want to show you her website before we get started. I took a lot of her information and then I put it into like a Word document so it was easier for me to read online for you guys and stuff. But make sure you check that out if you need to know anything about the case. That's the place to go. So this is, like I said, Gannon. Let me go. Oh, I'm all the way at the bottom of my Word document on my page now. Let me see. I'm going to share this with you guys instead. This is going to be his mother, Landon, his father, Al, and his little sister, Lena Stauch. And then we're going to get to his stepmother, this monster, Letecia. And this is her beautiful picture of her right there. That's Letecia Stauch in all of her glory. I tried to find the best picture I could of her. So I'm going to just go through the timeline, and then if Crime Curious wants to come up here, she said she was eating, I think. I'm going to put the StreamYard link in the chat, and I'm charging my earphones right now, my headphones, which they should be charged. I'll put one in at a time if I need to, because I went to get my nails done today, and I was listening to lives. Like I was on like a 3-hour live when I was in the salon, which I actually watched Crime Curious's videos today. Didn't you have an extra video that came out? Or did I watch the first one twice? Nope, you had a live, I think, didn't you? Yeah, that's what it was. I didn't know, I just watched them twice. Wow, that's me. I was watching everything as much as I was trying to as much as I could. So key players, like I was telling you before, Gannon Stauch is going to be the victim. Letecia Stauch is the stepmother. Al Stauch, victim's father. Landon Hoyt is the mom. And then Lena Stauch is the sister. He was reported missing January 27th, 2020. And he was found March 3rd, 2020. If I get any of this information wrong, let me know. Because I think I got most of it right because I went off Crime Curious. But if I do get something wrong, let me know. I also have... I pulled up Court TV, so if we need to, we can look through different videos and things of that nature to get us all kind of caught up. Does anybody not know this case? Because I feel like I was maybe the only one that didn't know it at first. But it's a crazy one, and this little boy needs justice, so we're going to get it for him. Let me make sure this is kind of big for you guys. Grab my water. Grab a snack, grab a drink, hit the like button, all that stuff. You don't know this one, Margot? So this one it's a lot. So I'm going to go straight through the timeline, and then we're going to watch like some stuff here and there. That way it'll help us too. I also can do a live over her arrest warrant. I was going to try to, this affidavit's hard to read, so I was going to try to like clean it up for you guys a little bit. So the current charges for her, hold on guys, I'm going to blow my nose really quick. Sorry, I don't know why my nose feels like it's running. Hold on. Sorry about that. I was like, if I don't blow my nose, that would just be terrible for the whole life. Be happy he doesn't know. Yeah, doesn't know either. L beam. Okay, yeah. So okay, Selena. Okay, good. So then we're going to get some coverage on it. I was trying to read Summer's. She said she dropped her earbud. I was trying to read her comment. It said I dropped one earbud at the gym right in the hole and couldn't get it out. I had to find some help. So embarrassing. I actually lost one earbud. I lost 2 AirPods, and then I lost 1 AirPod, literally just 1 AirPod, and then I got some new ones, and now I lost the 1 AirPod that I had. So I have, two now, but I don't know where my other one went. So in total, I've lost 2 full pairs of AirPods. That's me. And I normally don't lose too much stuff, but, so the current charges against her are counts 1 and 2, murder in the first degree. Count 3 is child abuse resulting in death. Count 4, tampering with a deceased human body. Count 5, tampering with physical evidence. Count 6 through 13 is crime of violence. And this is 4 sentencing enhancers per murder charge. And then she got another charge while she was in jail. And that's a solicitation to commit escape. Like, can you believe, like, that's a whole other one. We'll get to that. Letecia Stauch has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. And that's the only thing I could still look up. So I don't think that she's going to court tomorrow. So I should have told you guys that too. She's going to court tomorrow. Not court. They're starting the jury selection tomorrow. And then I believe her court starts on April the 4th. Letecia Stauch, it is finally time. Teresa said it's finally time. You are absolutely right. Yeah, you get ready to be furious at this woman. I know. The more I've watched so many lives and read so many things, and if I read it again, I find something else. It's like, are you kidding? Like, just something else. It says here, the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office has presented a theory that Letecia Stauch murdered her stepson in the basement of the family's El Paso County home between approximately 2:15 p.m. and 3:15 p.m. on Monday, January 27th, 2020. To be clear, Letecia Stauch is the defendant. Albert Stauch is her husband. Harley Hunt was the defendant's 17-year-old daughter. I forgot to put her up at the top. Gannon Stauch, homicide victim, was Albert's 11-year-old son, and Lena Stauch was Albert's 8-year-old daughter. So I forgot to add in Harley Hunt, which is Letecia Stauch's daughter, 17-year-old daughter. And that is not Al's daughter. I think that's just Leticia's daughter. Oh, I was reading. That's so funny. Jury trial, yes, selection begins tomorrow. I'm surprised they're doing, 2 weeks for that. That's like 2 weeks they've cut off for that, which is a long time to me, it seems like. Let me know. I know that you'll know this, Teresa. Let me know, how long was it for Murdoch? I don't feel like it was that long. Was it that long? Maybe it was longer than that. Who knows? But here starts Saturday, January 25th. This is going to be 2 days before everything happened, like before he went missing, was reported missing. He was reported missing on the 27th. So, where was I at? Oh, here we go. Saturday, January 25th. Let me see if I can blow this up for you guys a little bit more. I'm trying to look in my other screen, see if it's a little bit better for you. 2 to 3 days from Murdoch. That's what I thought. And then I was like, well, maybe it was more, but yeah, maybe they'll get them in, or maybe they'll get a jury in enough time, but maybe they're just waiting because of the fact that, or they're putting that much time out just for the fact that they may need it, but that's a lot of time. So Saturday, January 25th, Albert goes to Denver and spends the night. So that's Gannon's dad. He leaves, he goes to Denver. Letecia searches the internet for things like, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids. And I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's Day card since I raise her kids. She was also looking for work in Florida or California as a flight attendant, and she was calculating the cost of moving away from Colorado. Stauch was curious about renting a 2-bedroom apartment. And then I thought I had those up. Let me see. Where did it go? That's not going to work. I'll have to look those up better for you guys. For some reason, when I pulled that up, that was so small. So Letecia had a Google search history, and it was one for the books, and I had it up for you. And let me see if I can find it. If not, I'll find it and we'll read through it. But those are a couple of the things that so search terms, it says find me a husband. Well, I'm not going to be able to read that. Find me a new husband. I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. Are there any free money to move away from bad situation? Things of that nature. I wish Judge Newman was presiding over this case. That would be nice. So yeah, and then she like, find me a rich guy. That I just read, find me a rich guy who wants to take care of his kids. And I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's Day card since I raise her kids. I don't know what kind of Google she was talking to, but those are like, she wasn't even asking questions. She was just searching terms. She was, and then I already read that part. So then Sunday, January 26th, the day before all of this happened, Albert flies commercially from Colorado to Oklahoma with a layover in Texas. And he is gone because of military. Letecia, Lena, and Gannon go on a hike at Garden of the Gods and then to Burger King. Harley Hunt, which is Letecia's daughter, was at work Sunday evening, but claims that she did not see Gannon alive and allegedly well. She did see Gannon alive, and allegedly well when she arrived home from work. And she works at Massage Envy, and Massage Envy closes at 10 p.m. Gannon allegedly sets a carpet on fire with a candle. And I do have pictures of that. Letecia makes an accidental video somewhere between 11 p.m. while berating her stepson, making him pinky promise that he had not done it on purpose. And I do have those, I think, pulled up. Let me see if I can. Okay. So just like a trigger warning, these aren't like, this picture isn't I don't believe that there's anything wrong with Gannon at this time. There's just a picture of him laying in the bed, but I just wanted to tell you guys that there may be some things that I say that are triggering because it does have to do with kids. But that's the picture there. And then let me see. This was on YouTube and I was going to play this for you guys. This is her, and this is where it's going to be, difficult to hear, but this is her berating Gannon. Supposedly, he burnt the carpet with the candle. And I thought I had a picture of that. Let me see. I do. So this is, I guess, what the big deal was about that evening. This is the candle. And then I guess, it burnt the carpet. Oh, hey, TLC, Bill. But I don't know. I'm not a parent, but I don't think that's a huge deal. And I'm OCD, as they're all get out. But for a kid to be crying like this, I mean, in this video and stuff, for him to be this upset, it's really sad to watch. But I'll play it just to give you guys, just giving you a warning. Though, let me see, where did I just put the video? Well, if I can find where I was just at. There we go. Let me make sure the volume's not up too loud because I don't want it to be too loud for you guys, but here we go. And remember in this video, before I play it, remember in this video, like she said that she supposedly took this video on accident. So this was an accidental video.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie, when the TMZ information...
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm going to ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
He did it.
Okay, we promise. We promise. Pinky promise.
Pinky.
Okay, all right. So listen. We're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it. Okay. So we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa. We can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed. So, lady, don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house. Okay. You got it?
She sat there and said, whatever we have to sell. Like, how can you do that to 11-year-old little boy. Put that on him. You know, like, we have to sell, like, we're going to have to sell this stuff now so that we don't get kicked out of here. No wonders why he was so upset. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. I've only listened to that like twice and I can't do it anymore. That's just so sad, you know? No one should ever have to feel like that, especially an 11-year-old. I mean, I'm 37. I almost said 36. I'm 37. I would be danged if someone said something, it made me feel like that, you know? I wish that kids could be super strong sometimes, you know? Superhuman strength kids. So let's get back over to the timeline because we've got a lot to go through. But I'll be stopping it, you know, here and there. So we'll get through what we can and then maybe we'll make it into a 2-part if we have to. But so that's when, you know, it says Gannon allegedly sets the carpet on fire with a candle. And Letecia makes an accidental video somewhere around 11 p.m. while berating her stepson and making him pinky promise that he had not done it on purpose. Like, what kid does that on purpose? And if a kid did that on purpose, that's a kid that's screaming out for immediate attention or something. You know, that's just insane. Yeah, exactly, Toyeri. Yeah, he's 11, not 5 or 6. That kid was traumatized to sound, yeah. So shook, so, yeah. Me too, Teresa. I think he was in pain too. That's what, in my opinion, he was in pain, Teresa said. It's so sad. And then we'll watch some different things too. Let me see what I've got up here. Okay, whenever we get to like March 20th, we'll start playing some stuff. So Monday, January 27th. Why am I? Hold on, let me get it. Okay. I don't know what I was doing there. So January 27th, at 4:37 a.m., Letecia texts her employer. She is, I guess, she supposedly, I think she was fired, but she worked at a school. She falsely stated that her stepfather died tragically over the weekend and that she would not be coming into work. I believe she said he got hit by a car or something like that. I'm not sure. But I think that's what it was. So in the morning, Letecia texts Albert stating Gannon had been awake most of the night with stomach problems. Letecia excuses Gannon's absence from school. At 8:13 a.m., Letecia snaps a photo of Gannon in his bed. And I believe that was the photo that I just showed you. At 9:56 a.m., Letecia's phone is locked but not turned off. At 10:16 a.m., Letecia and Gannon leave the home in Albert's red Nissan Frontier truck. Now, there is going to be like 6 different vehicles that come into play. So that's the Frontier truck. I'm sorry, I try to go through your chat a little bit. The one eye gets me. I can hear the big birds flying over, the big ones. I don't know what they're called, but they're just big birds. Big ducks. So then at 10:37 a.m., a text message is sent from Gannon's phone to Harley's phone that reads, Tisha left her phone at home. If you need her, text me. At 11:22, Letecia is seen making a purchase at a Petco on the north end of Colorado Springs, and that's 22 miles from their home, and Gannon's not visible on the camera. At 12:06 p.m., a text message is sent from Albert's phone to Gannon's phone that reads, hey, buddy. At 1:21 p.m., a text message is sent from Gannon's phone to Albert's phone that reads, can I play Zelda at least? And Albert responds, not today. Which that sounds like a dad saying, no, you stayed home from school. You're not going to be playing Zelda. What did I miss? I think I missed something in the chat. You guys always know so much about cases. That's why I'm like, I can't see both. So then at 1:22, Letecia is once again seen making a purchase at the same Petco location. Gannon is not visible in the footage. At 1:43, and I mean, I'm sure that there is another Petco or a PetSmart that is closer to her vicinity of her home. So, I'm just going to put that out there. 1:43 p.m. A search is made using Gannon's phone. Can my parent find my cell phone if it's off? And I'm going to say that probably wasn't Gannon that made that search. But she did make an actual search there. It looked like it was a question. So at 12:19 p.m., Letecia arrives home. At 2:45 p.m., her phone is unlocked. At 3:11, Lena returns home from school and is sent outside. At 3:55 p.m., a text message is sent from Albert's phone to Gannon's phone that reads, "Hey, buddy, this message is not open until 7:40 p.m., and there's no reply." At 4:42 p.m., Harley arrives at the residence and picks Lena up. So Harley and Lena are out of the house. At 4:52 p.m., Letecia sends Harley a text message requesting. So what is that? 10 minutes later? Okay, so 10 minutes after Harley picks, Lena up, Letecia sends Harley a text message requesting carpet powder. This is what she wants her daughter to pick up. Carpet powder, trash bags, and baking soda. At 5:14, I don't know what kind of shopping list that is. I mean, At 5:14, Harley purchases these and other seemingly unrelated items at a local store. Harley also purchases vinegar. I always clean with vinegar. Oh, yeah. Ina said if her son was home from school, I took his controllers for PS or power cable to work. Yeah, with me. So mom couldn't give it to him. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So you would just take the whole dang power cord. That's pretty funny. You didn't just say no system today. You were like, no, I'm taking you're smart. I bet you got a good boy. I bet you. You were smart. You took the cord. I like that. That's so funny. That's funny. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about her being back or not. Teresa, I don't know if Harley's back in the United States or not. Because I haven't heard anything, and I was trying to look up brand new stuff on it today, and there was only a few people that have really been doing some newer stuff. It was all 2-3 years old. Oh, whoops. Sorry guys, I just hit the button there. What'd I do all the way to the bottom? Yes, I sure did. You know me. I'm trying to see where I was at. Okay, yeah, so she was requesting the, carpet powder and stuff. And then she purchases vinegar as well. Letecia dials 911 and reports Gannon as a potential runaway, saying he was expected home by 6 p.m. He left at 3:15 p.m. and did not come home. Stauch was then referred to the El Paso County non-emergency number. At 7:32 p.m., Gannon is entered into the state and national database as a runaway. Because according to Letecia, and only Letecia, he was supposed to be going to a friend's house and he didn't come home. At 10:09 p.m., officers respond to 6627 Mandan Drive in order to investigate and perform a limited search with Letecia's permission. So that's when they just go in and they do an initial walkthrough of the house. So the next day, Tuesday, January 28th, at 8:30 a.m., Letecia rents a Kia Rio and picks it up at the Colorado Springs airport. She leaves the black Volkswagen. Hold on. Isn't this a different car, Tiguan? Is that a Volkswagen Tiguan? Is that right? Or did I do something wrong? Is that who makes Tiguans? Yeah, wow, I didn't know that. Man. Of course that's what it says on there. It should be, right? I'm just really? That's what I was so confused. Okay. So we have, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but do we have 2 Volkswagens involved in this? Or just one? Just Harley's Volkswagen, right? Or because I thought that the Tiguan was Letecia's, and then there was a Volkswagen. I wrote it down somewhere. Volkswagen Jetta, that was Harley's, right? Okay, so her car was the Volkswagen Tiguan, because then later on, I think that we'll hear about Harley's white Volkswagen Jetta. That's where I was getting confused with. Okay, that's why I was like, Tiguan is made by Volkswagen. Okay, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know. Okay, thanks, Crime Curious. I was just like, I know I saw another Volkswagen. Okay, that's why I was like so confused for a minute. So there's a lot of cars at play. So I forgot to write down the first one, but the red truck was, Owl's. Then we got the Volkswagen Tiguan, which is black and it's Letecia's. Harley drives a Volkswagen Jetta, and then she rents a Kia Rio. I know, guys, I'm sorry. I'll try to make it, when we go through them, I'll try to say whose cars are whose. So then Letecia gives Harley the directive to pull your car in the garage via text message. At 8:50 a.m., Albert's plane arrives and Letecia picks him up from the Colorado Springs airport in the rental car. She does not disclose the exact location of the Tiguan, telling him instead that it was parked near a local school. And I think she said something about like she didn't want to put like miles on the Tiguan. That's why she was picking him up in that, which I think that, I don't know. I would just be like, that makes no sense because you're going to spend money for a rental car. To me, that didn't make sense. Okay. She did have, yeah, so she had a car, yeah. So at 4:04 p.m., she got an extra car. Authorities asked for Gannon's toothbrush in order to get a sample of his DNA. At 4:19, Letecia uses her phone to search the internet. They are asking for our son's toothbrush, but said nothing is wrong. Has anyone ever told her how to use Google? I don't think anyone taught her Google. Letecia says, okay, at 4:31 p.m., Letecia has a text conversation with Albert. She thinks the detectives are hiding something because they asked for Gannon's toothbrush. To me, that sounds like guilty conscience. Yeah, I'll turn my camera back on for a minute. I am just reading them, but I'll turn it back on. Yeah, there's so many cars involved in this case. Isn't it insane? Actually, let me see. Okay. Because I wanted to play some stuff for you guys too. Let's see where I was at. At 7, okay, so then at 7:02 p.m., she retrieves the Tiguan from the airport. At 8:08 p.m., the Tiguan sits idle at a nearby supermarket for about 10 minutes. At 9:15, Letecia arrives at Highway 105 South, Perry Park Road in Palmer Lake. Her iPhone was disconnected from the cellular network. She spent about 15 minutes in the area. At 10:26 p.m., Harley leaves the Stauch residence and uses her Volkswagen Jetta to meet Letecia in the area of Powers and Carefree, the parking lot of Harley's work. I'm just soaking this in. 10:45 p.m., Letecia makes a statement to Detective Bethel via text message that reads, "What do you want from me? Because I have nothing. One of your very own leaked to me what you guys are doing." Okay, I'm going to read this again. So at 10:45 p.m., Letecia makes a statement to Detective Bethel via text message. So this one's going to be good. So she writes the detective and says, "What do you want from me? Because I have nothing. One of your very own leaked to me what you guys were doing. I did nothing and/or I'm being set up. I'm not really even sure other than being told that by other blue with El Paso. I was told I couldn't go home to sleep, and on top of that, men were sent to a home with a minor female and she was forced to stay there, not even to leave for food." I'm sure there's food in that house. Every conversation that is said, even at this moment, I can hear inside, "What do you want from me?" Detective Bethel responds with, "Come in and talk to me. I would just like information to find Gannon." That's ballsy. That's ballsy. To write a detective that says, what do you want from me? She's got gall. I mean, she's got gall. So this was, what date was this one again? The 27th. So 2 days in and she's like, they're not even, I don't even think they're really looking at her. I mean, they are probably, but they're not like, hard in the paint. And she's already sweating to the point where she's reaching out to the detective saying, what do you want from me? Like, to me, that is, crazy. Wednesday, oh wait, did I go over here? Oh yeah. So Wednesday, January 29th on 2020, because we're still 2020. 9 a.m., Letecia returns the rental car to the airport and is picked up by her daughter in the white Volkswagen Jetta. Like, I wonder if what her daughter knew. Like, I wonder if her daughter was just like, oh yeah, mom rented a car, because I don't know who does that. I guess people do that. I don't know. Not where I'm from. Like, we live so close to like the airport, you just wouldn't do that. 11:30 a.m., Letecia stops on her way to the police station in order to wash the Tiguan. She was already running an hour and a half late for the appointment. What's an extra 20, 30, 40 minutes going to do, 12 p.m., Letecia arrives 2 hours late for a voluntary meeting with detectives and brings handwritten notes. She admits that Gannon did not run away. She then falsely claims to have been held at gunpoint, and this is where, this is going to be a lie, but it's going to be hard to hear. But it's a lie. She says she then falsely claims to have been held at gunpoint and sexually assaulted by a dark stranger named El Guado in the basement of the home. She says that he was a man that she had hired to fix the burnt carpet. Letecia tells investigators that she provided her attacker with a suitcase and a cardboard box before he kidnapped Gannon. Letecia admits to cleaning up the alleged crime scene. She refuses to participate in a SANE exam. Authorities seize her cell phone and the Tiguan. They detain her while they apply for a warrant to obtain DNA, and she begins stuffing used tissues in her pants and claims to be having a panic attack with chest pains and shortness of breath. Paramedics transport her to a local hospital. Letecia once again declines to participate in an evidence collection exam and signs herself out of the hospital's care after making a miraculous recovery. She makes a phone call from the waiting room. Letecia is picked up by an unknown person and is reunited with her daughter a few blocks away. So that's a lot. So she hires El Guado. She finds him within, 2 days or a day to fix the carpet, and all this happens. These people have either some real bad luck or they guilty of sin. So Thursday, January 30th, 1:45 p.m., Letecia and Harley are detained at the Marshall's department store in order to search and or seize Harley's white Volkswagen Jetta. Letecia throws a fit. Letecia's aunt Brenda secures a Nissan Altima by rental contract, and law enforcement applies for a warrant to track its location via GPS device. Gannon's case is upgraded from a runaway child to a missing endangered. I just want some water and then some soda. I'm like, I need some both. I learned about his final resting place today, and when they said that when they dropped him, how many feet? In my head, I thought 30. Was that Crime Cruise that said that? It might have even been your life. I mean, all the lives are just kind of going through my head, but when it was more like 100 feet, I was like, oh my Lord. I just couldn't handle life. I almost gasped in like the nail salon when I heard that. Drinking, spilling my soda everywhere. Oh, Rich says we have always rented vehicles, mostly vans, when friends or family come to town, both in San Jose and especially here in Vegas. Tour guide. Tour guide with the faces. Oh my gosh. That's funny. We can't even hardly get someone to come get us at the airport because LA's traffic is crazy. That's where we usually travel to. So it's just crazy out there. Though we usually just get a rental car. That's what we did last time. So then January 31st, 2020, Letecia gives Spencer Wilson, and we can go over this interview. An impromptu television interview outside the family's Lorson Ranch home. After loading a moving van full of items and before the property was sealed off as a crime scene. Letecia then utilizes the van or the rented Altima in order to return to the Palmer Lake area one final time before skipping town. Have you guys seen the interview with Letecia? Letecia? If you guys are just now joining us, thank you guys so much for joining us. This one is a new case. Well, it's a new one to my channel. I did a couple of pre-recordeds, like a couple of like little timelines. They had Nancy Grace in them. Crime Curious is in the chat. She excellent timeline. That's whose timeline we're using her timeline to go through the Gannon Stauch case. Little preview, I guess, to get you up to date or up to speed. Letecia Stauch is going to go on trial for the murder of her stepson. This is going to be one of two cases that we talk about this week, that we're starting this week, where someone is found in a suitcase, deceased. It's so sad. And then how many different ways this kid was killed. Different, the different beatings. It's just insane to me. So if you guys wouldn't mind liking the video, it does help the channel grow, and it does help get it out to the algorithm, so that way more people will come in and then be able to, appreciate the coverage and everything like that, and we can get it out there more. If you guys don't know who little Gannon is, let me see. Let me share this with you guys again for a minute. That's him there. That way you guys can get just a picture of him, so you guys will know the key players. This is going to be Letecia. This is going to be his evil stepmother. Wouldn't even call her stepmother. And then this is his mother and his dad and their little girl, Lena, his sister. And you can definitely tell that they're a family unit. Like, you know what I mean? Like the way they look, like they all, they look alike. So we'll get back to the timeline. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and, do you want to watch the TV interview? Let's watch that. I thought I had it up. Where is it at? Oh, that won't take me but 2 seconds to find it, so. Let me see here. Okay, here it is. Have you guys seen this? So this is going to be, she's not even looking at the camera. I don't even know what to take. Like, I know a lot of people point that out, and I understand why. Because it's, oh my lordy, it's not even right. I almost got my nails blue today for him. I might do that next time. I did them light pink for Maddie because that was her favorite color. And I thought of that today. I was like, what color should I get? And I was like, oh. I was like, and they're like a light pink. So, I like the blue hearts. I can't do a lot of hearts because I'm on the computer. Oh, look, I have a blue heart right there already. I can just do like one. Like mine will make me I'll be here all day. But if I'm on my phone, I'm faster. So let's watch this because I think this is going to give you, this gives you a perspective of who she is. Listen to her words because her words say everything. Her body language says even more. She doesn't even have to be looking at the camera to know. She also uses the past tense and the present tense when she's talking about Gannon. And I picked up on that real quick, but it's crazy how she uses both of them. Maybe she tries to catch herself. I don't know, but she does use them both. So let me go and play this for you guys here, and then we'll talk about it.
You are?
I am Letecia Stauch, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case, I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20 some death threats already. Two, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying. And could I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, you know, said I still wasn't complying or said I was, you know, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time, correct.
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was two really good detectives, and so I'm not, you know, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, you know, they're detectives, they're supposed to twist. The one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things. So I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Gannon. But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have, and see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. You know, there was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. And I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions.
I have a question. I know that they make those jackets that, you know, you put your thumbs through, or you can even cut the holes out and do it yourself. But do you think that maybe she's trying to cover her hands for a reason? Because I'm learning about this case with you all, so let me know. But that's just what I was picking up. I just saw her hands kind of moving around, and I was like, let me see there. So let me play this again for you guys. I don't like her.
Out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
And they weren't in there?
They weren't even in her car, in her purse.
And
they were in my pocket.
You originally didn't even know it was the law enforcement officers?
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got to, who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay, but they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping, because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, you know, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, you know, and then brought out with men with guns. And that's just not okay. You know, they could have approached me and said, hi, I'm with El Paso County. Can I please get this? Instead of the way that it happened.
I'm just going to check your chat. Doing great. Want to make sure that we're still good on recording, still can hear you okay. Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while my mic will give out, and I want to make sure that's not going to happen here. Okay. All right, and then, oh shoot, I put that on backwards. It almost feels like, to me, like kind of a pitchfork mentality with people. Almost, do you feel safe in Southern Colorado?
Yes, this is a wonderful neighborhood. We picked this neighborhood because it felt like such a great community and the school district's great. And so I really feel safe in Colorado Springs.
But then the community seems to have turned. Is that true?
There's a lot of times that, you know, on the Ring Gap and things like that, we hear of like a burglary every day. And, you know, some of those things you can't always look into and think that it actually happened. You have to kind of like wheedle it out. But overall, the community is really good at looking out for each other and coming together in times of need.
I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes, wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have, my family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we have that same goal. And we've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario, and you know, he's always helpful, and he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs, and he was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away. You know, sometimes with kids we have to remind them and things like that, and that's okay, but he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
I know you just said that you can't say anything about the investigation, so you can just say so again if you can't answer this, but is there anything we can hear about the hike? Was there a hike? That just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here? Because she can go.
They're gonna bring Harley over there and just listen to what Letecia says to her daughter. I don't know the exact wording, but it's like, yeah, tell them that you saw him, you know, that you saw Gannon when you came home from work. Like the way that her mom says that to her, it's like, what else was her daughter going to say? And I think even Harley says, do you want me to tell him that, Mom? Or something along those lines. So she's calculating, Mike. Yeah, to me, this proves she's not insane. Yeah, very calculating. So let's see what she says to Harley.
And say that, you know, she came home from work after the hike and she can verify that Gannon was at our home.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. If she doesn't want to, that's okay, but you're allowed
That's
to
fine.
ask her. Sound okay so far?
Yes. I need Harley. Because they want you to verify was Gannon at home after the hike. Because you didn't go to the hike, but you came home from work. Hmm? No, just answer the question. Yes, you came home from work and you can verify Gannon was at home. Yeah. I told her she didn't have to be too in depth because she is still, you know, a child. But I want to make sure that someone knows that there's another person to verify that Gannon.
Sure.
Does she need to hold this?
No, that's as long as she's close.
Close.
So just stay close. And yeah, actually shift a tiny bit that way. Just half inch that way.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. And then can you say and spell your name for me real fast?
Harley Hunt, Harley, Hunt, Hunt.
Perfect. And so just don't look away from her because the mic's not that way, so you don't have to like face down into it, but
Okay.
just don't look away. I was just asking about the hike.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work, and I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then you guys came home.
Yes.
Where'd you guys go hiking?
Garden of the Gods.
Oh, yes. Okay. I guess when
And then we ate Burger King afterwards, so, you know.
there you go.
Yeah.
And then it just was, I'm gonna go to play at a friend's house.
Can we step off of here? I don't want her on the.
No worries.
Okay. Yeah.
You did great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, do it again.
And then it was just, I'm off to go to at a friend's house.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to like comment on that anymore, and for that reason is because some things have been turned and twisted, and you know that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that, and that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind.
That's right.
I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with
Yeah.
legal stuff. Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope. Am I on camera now?
You are
okay.
still.
Okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative, but to me, it's okay that they think those things because the way someone thinks about me, I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Gannon or any of the children in our home because that's just not the case. I've spent my whole entire life working so hard in education. There was even things online that was talking about my education license and I shouldn't even be a teacher, and they just didn't know that. Like, we moved on a military move and I didn't finish out my contract, so I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, you know, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, you know. And
do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
it definitely is. And, you know, here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like, if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care, like, about doing those things? Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that. That's how I feel. Like, we just should not. We should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens because Gannon's going to come home.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
We just wanted to add a message to Gannon from my family, is that we love you and miss you, and we hope that you come home soon. And Gannon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know that you're okay. We love you.
Okay, I was trying to find you guys another video to see. I wanted to see where I was at though. I think we'll keep reading and then I'll show it to you. Okay, so that was January 31st. I want to make sure I get these in orders, that's all. Okay, this one is from April 6th. So we'll, oops. Okay, we'll start with this one. Let me see. Actually, let me go down a little bit more. Sorry, guys. So then it says, after the interview, Letecia and Harley's road trip. So mother and daughter relocate to Myrtle Beach. During the preliminary hearing, we learned that Letecia Stauch and Harley Hunt drove a moving van from Colorado Springs to the body dump location and then to Orlando and South Carolina. And I do have a picture of that. So this is the picture. This is the map of their road trip. Yeah, Brenda, he was found. So they basically they took him from Colorado Springs all the way down to Florida. And then they made their way to Myrtle Beach. Which to me, I don't know how you guys think about this, but how did Harley not know that there was that he was in the suitcase? I mean, I don't know. That to me is blowing my mind. So let me go ahead and read a little bit more, and then we'll play the next video. Because I think the first one's from like April. So Saturday, February 1st, it says Letecia Stauch secures a budget van and begins travel from Colorado Springs to South Carolina with her daughter. She purchased a new cell phone in Trinidad for the trip. Oh, sorry. Monday, February 3rd, 2020, Roderick Drayton, he lives 2 doors down from the Stauch home, comes forward with camera footage from his home surveillance system. According to Fox 21 News, by February 3rd, 2020, over 1,800 hours of investigative work had been done and 2,400 staff hours were put into search efforts. I wonder if I should go ahead and show you the camera footage if I have it up. If not, I'll find that. I thought I had that up. And if not, I'm sure that one of the videos that we're going to watch will have it on there. So, oh, sorry, guys. Still no charges for, yeah. Okay, for Harley. It's just, I didn't know because, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad because I'm learning this with y'all still, so. So I didn't know, like, because I mean, to me, that's a little suspect. I mean, you could think it's cold. It was cold. It was January. So if the body was in a suitcase in the back of a rental van, maybe it was cold enough to keep it to where it wasn't decomposing, to where she could smell anything. Man, it's sad either way, really. Because I know your parents can't force you to do anything, but if you're thinking about it and you're 17 years old and your mom is there, maybe she forced Harley some way. I don't know. Like, I mean, you can't force somebody, but your parents have a lot of, I don't know, like saying what you do sometimes. You think, okay, Tomboy Charm said, I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew. I think crazy mama placed the suitcase in the middle of the night while Harley was asleep at the hotel. Like, yeah. Oh man. It's just sad all the way around. So Tuesday, February 4th, so that, still haven't found him yet. Detectives believe that Gannon's body was dumped under the, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, Escambia, you know that Teresa could say this. Escambia, I don't know, River Bridge. Very early in the morning. Letecia and Harley checked themselves into a Florida hotel that was located approximately 3 miles away from the bridge where Gannon's body would eventually be found. Gosh, you guys are not smart. The pair checked back out of the hotel after only a few hours. They just needed a little rest. They also drove to Orlando before making it to their final destination in South Carolina. Who do you know that gets a hotel for a few hours other than call girls? No offense. Or call boys. Like who, so they went and they got a hotel. That sounds like it's for a nap. It's crazy. And I think that the decomp probably was like when he got to Florida, that probably, that's when it probably really hit because it's hotter down there. Or going into those southern states where they stopped to eat Thai food. No, I wish they were. I don't think they were stopped at all though. February 9th, Letecia continues her social media meltdown, mostly on Facebook and the Nextdoor app. Tuesday, February 11th, 2020, Letecia Stauch releases an exclusive written public statement through mainstream media outlet Fox 31 about Gannon's disappearance. I don't think I have that. I bet you I should get on that website and get that for you guys. Thursday, February 13th, Letecia explains to Albert during a wiretap phone call that Gannon's skin bubbled due to burns from the candle, and he wiped some of the blood from the injuries on his wall. So now she's trying to go ahead and start accounting for evidence that's going to possibly be found. So that's so sad. My thumbnail is actually the picture where he was found. February 14th, Letecia provides her husband with more false versions of his son's disappearance, wherein she implicates a known sex offender, Quincy Brown, and his alleged accomplice, Terrence, during a wiretap phone conversation. She also changes the location and jurisdiction of Gannon's reported abduction to Douglas County and references a bicycle accident that allegedly caused an injury to Gannon's head. So where hasn't this kid been hurt? But none of those injuries was Letecia involved, she said. It wasn't her. Saturday, February 15th, Letecia admits to Albert in another phone call that she was lying the day before and explains the blood found in the corner of Gannon's bedroom will likely be a mixture of hers and Gannon's because the alleged attacker penetrated both of them and anally with an object. She also states that she was tied up at some point, experienced a few trauma blackouts, and that her attacker was still present in the home, but was hiding from police during the first visit from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Just hiding. I'm just thinking in my head sorry. It's just, to me, this is just mind-blowing. Authorities find particle board with evidence of Gannon's blood just north of the county line between El Paso and Douglas County off Highway 105 near Palmer Lake. Letecia, February 16th, Letecia has a phone call between herself and an unknown informant, wherein Stauch absolutely trashes her stepchild's mother. The call was recorded and the audio was later released by a YouTube channel called Dad with a Phone, or DAWP. Or DWAP, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say Gannon wasn't even found until March, but we're getting towards March now, so. It's just terrible. Forcing me to vape. Letecia. February 16th, Letecia has a phone call between herself and an unknown informant where... Oh, I just read you that. I'm sorry. We're down to February 20th. So Thursday, February 20th, Letecia tells Crime Online that she wants to meet crime reporter Lee Egan in person at a Starbucks in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in order to provide her with certified results of an independent polygraph exam. Wait for it. So if you've fallen asleep, wake up for this part because your girl's got herself a polygraph, but it's not a regular one. A Southern Gypsy said, "Hi, Tanya. I've been through Chillicothe many times riding with my husband. I live in Georgia." Oh, you ride motorcycles? And I'm assuming not horses. And I told my husband, I'm in love with Millersburg, Ohio. I dream of us retiring there. It's beautiful. Oh, yes. Oh, we do have some nice towns in Ohio. We really do. We have like really, really cute little homey towns. You were born in Millersburg? Oh, look. Look at that. I love this chat when we do that. Oh yeah, he was found. Okay, so he was found 3/18. I'm gonna write that down because I think I got that. I bet I got your timeline right though. There's so many details, and Crime Curious got them all. So if you guys are just now joining us, do not forget to go check out Crime Curious's page, and she actually has a website too, crimecurious.com. and all the information is on there, like the whole timeline. I don't think I could, I mean, I think that my biggest case that I know like the most of, and I probably have read that PCA 30, 40, 50 times. I'm not even kidding you. Idaho 4. And I don't even know if my timeline would be that detailed as yours. Yours is so detailed. I love it. I'm one of those people. I'm like, I'm a factual person. So this was really nice to have. And it says right here that, so she told a crime, told someone on crime online that she went and got a polygraph test done, but it was a fake polygraph. So it says here, the defendant prior to arrest ordered a standard fake polygraph test certificate and submitted a list of questions and answers regarding Gannon's murder. She wanted to present the fake certificate as proof that she had taken and passed an independent polygraph exam. And okay, cool. I was going to look up the questions, but you already had them. I didn't know if you had these ones or not. I thought you did. So it says the company refused to provide her with the certificate and choose to keep the money. They gave investigators any and all information they had available. So when you go into a place, fakepolygraph.com, and you say, question 1, did you murder your stepson? And you say, that I told the truth. They're going to look into that. And they did. So they took her money and then they gave the results to the police. Here it says, do you intend to answer these questions regarding your stepson truthfully? And she put yes. She said for them to put yes. Is your birthday August 4th, 1983? Yes. Wow. She's only a couple years old, older than me. Did you participate in any way in causing harm to your stepson? No. Did your stepson return with you to your home? She put yes. Did you participate in any way in causing the death of your stepson? She put no. And then what else do we know? Okay. So do you guys, the day that because this is like supposed to be like, true stuff. Do you think that he came home with her that day? Like he returned to the home with her that day? I'm going to need to watch the video again. Because I know I've heard a few different people say, like a creator say like a few different things, like where they're like, they like some people say that they saw him on the tape. They think they saw him come home. And then other people are saying no. So I was wondering what you guys thought. So, let's see. So this is, okay. So we know there was blood evidence linked to Gannon that was found on a piece of particle board in Douglas County. We know there was also blood evidence linked to Gannon found on Letecia's shoe during one of the searches of the Stauch home. And we know there was blood evidence linked to Gannon on the bumper of Letecia's main vehicle and the garage floor. We know there was a significant amount of blood evidence found in the basement as well. We know that Letecia Stauch spent 10.7 hours on Facebook and Messenger between the day her husband left town, which was Saturday, January 25th, and the day police confiscated her cell phone and vehicle Wednesday, January 29th. I don't think that's that many hours. Do you guys think 10 hours? I don't get on Facebook, but I don't know. I think that people get on Facebook probably more than that. We know that she's been caught weaving a large web of lies to friends, family, law enforcement, professionals, crime reporters, and total strangers. I think she told the lies pretty, I think they just flowed for her, she thought. Her ridiculous stories and excuses have changed dramatically over time, all leading towards her desired status as a victim in the case rather than a lone perpetrator. We know that Letecia went to Palmer Lake in the Tiguan on the evening of Tuesday, January 28th, 2020, and then she traveled to Palmer Lake again in the Nissan Altima during the late afternoon of Friday, January 31st. We also know that she claims the particle board must have flown out of the back of Albert's truck in the same area. We know investigators believe that Letecia most likely killed Gannon in the basement of their home and then stored his body in the truck of the Tiguan overnight. They believe the Tiguan was moved the following morning and stored at the Colorado Springs airport until she drove it to Palmer Lake that night in order to dispose of Gannon's body. But we also know law enforcement state that his remains had most likely been scattered by weather and or wildlife. I was just reading the chat for a minute. Oh, hey, Mary Beth, your first live. I'm going to actually close my window because I'm getting a little chilly. Hold on one second, guys. I never get cold. I know, as Kelly D, I spend a lot of hours online every day. Like, I should check my phone right now because it'll tell you. Well, 5 hours, 59 minutes. No, and I'm never on social media really, so I'm always on YouTube. I'm always around if you ever need me. So, I think I put this here on accident. February 27th through October 31st. This is going to be the timeline through here now. Letecia Stauch's first interview with Crime Online was published on February 27th. I wonder if I can find it. I think, no, that wasn't it. On Friday, February 28th, an affidavit of probable cause was submitted to the court. It listed 4 major violations: murder in the first degree of a child under 12, position of trust, child abusing resulting in death, tampering with a deceased human body, and tampering with physical evidence. An arrest warrant was issued and those documents were sealed. Letecia Stauch's second interview with Crime Online was published on February 29th. Must have been a leap year. Letecia was arrested on Monday, March 2nd in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She was held without bond and extradited to Colorado Springs. They were delayed en route when the prisoner slipped her cuffs and physically attacked a deputy outside Abilene, Kansas, in Dickinson County. I didn't even know that part, y'all. Okay, I'm reading this timeline and I didn't even know that part. Must have skipped over that the first 2 times I read this because what? I didn't even remember this part. That's why I'm telling you guys this case is so insane. I should keep using the word insane because she's going to try to use that as a defense, but wow. And that's the thing too. Yeah, Crime Career says she was spending all of her time trying to turn the narrative in her favor instead of looking for him. She knew where he was, didn't have to search. Yeah, it's like she didn't even try to search. She was like, oh, I can't even go home, so I'm just not going to do nothing. Well, you could probably go home if you wouldn't have done this to your stepson. This is like the definition of monster, step monster, And thanks for everyone for being here. I appreciate you guys being here with me this evening. I know this one's a hard case to get through, and I know it's a lot of reading, and I ain't even up for all that reading, but I do love me a timeline. And she's going to be going to court soon. So, and we have a lot of cases actually on the docket. We got so many. And then I do have some some videos to show you guys as well. So she was arrested, March 2nd in Myrtle Beach. Why does everyone go to Myrtle Beach for their last trip? You're going to find me Jamaica or somewhere good if, I know that's going to be my last trip. The group arrived at the El Paso County Criminal Justice Center on Thursday, March 5th, 2020, and Albert Stauch filed for divorce the same day. No additional charges were filed in Kansas. He was probably ready to get the hell away from her. Could you imagine? Oh, man. Could you imagine him out? My heart pours for him and his wife. And I almost said his wife, but his ex. My gosh. I saw the Landon on when she did the press conference, and you'll see a part of it in one of the videos I think I'm showing you, and it's just heartbreaking to see them like that. She said she gave her her trust. Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine. So here we go. It says the initial hearing was televised on March 11th. Spencer Wilson of KKTV was in the courtroom, although Letecia was or Letecia most likely did not recognize him. Gannon's divorced parents were seated next to each other directly behind the prosecutor's table. The decomposing, it's going to be trigger here, remains of Gannon Stauch were subsequently discovered more than 1,300 miles away from home on Wednesday, March 18th, 2020. Gannon's lifeless body was stuffed inside his suitcase and then discarded in Florida, just off Highway 90 near the Escambia River Bridge. Charges were upgraded after it was revealed to investigators that Gannon had been shot, stabbed, and beaten before he was stuffed inside the suitcase. He had multiple defensive wounds. There were 3 bullets found in the suitcase, 1 in his skull and 2 in a pillow. The 9mm that was used in the crime was found in the master bedroom, sitting out in the open on top of a dresser. Evidence of Letecia's DNA, as well as Albert's and an unknown male's, was found on the weapon. Authorities held a press conference on Friday, March 20th. Michael Allen-led prosecutors offered a prepared statement and answered very few direct questions. I'll read this and then we'll play the first video, I think. Oh man, that's so sad. And I think he was stuffed in there with like a pillow and 2 blankets. Today, I filed new formal charges in the case against Letecia Stauch. Those charges are murder in the first degree after deliberation, a Class 1 felony that carries a potential sentence of life in prison without parole. In addition to that, I filed 8 counts of crime of violence for the alleged use of a firearm, a blunt instrument, a knife or other sharp object, and for causing the death of Gannon Stauch. These new charges were added to the original charges. Michael Allen underscored the importance of an active gag order in the case. He then added, "I will not compromise the integrity of the investigation." He also added, "We will not try this case in the media." So let me see when that first video came out. Okay, April 6th. No, that was my dad's birthday, actually. So I'm going to go down to I'm going to get to like the 6th and then we'll play it. On April 2nd, the probable cause affidavit was leaked to the media by Sherry Farstreet, who would later be accused of abusing professional access to sealed court filings. She has since pleaded guilty to 1 count of attempted official misconduct in Adams County and is no longer employed by the city of Brighton. She paid $299.50 in court fees and fines. Shortly after the document was leaked and then released by the court ahead of schedule, Letecia Stauch caught a new case: solicitation to commit escape. So actually, I'm going to stop there and then we'll play some of these. I'm going to play this one here for you. So it just says, blood everywhere. This is new details after stepmom accused of murdering stepson. This came out 2 years ago, so it's just kind of going in the same timeline. That way you don't have to hear me read so much.
Stauch murdered the defendant, his own stepmother. Take a listen.
Jail can be all about her. Prison can be all about her.
It's the first time many in the courtroom have seen Letecia Stauch in person.
She didn't even seem to have any emotion to her.
Stauch, her 4 charges now filed in her stepson Gannon's case, which include first-degree murder and child abuse resulting in death.
Oh, I hope he gets justice. I hope she goes to prison for life, because death penalty, that would just be too easy for her.
But we're not sure if the death penalty is a possibility if she is convicted.
It's passed a bill to repeal the death penalty, and I expect that the governor will sign that, so we'll have to evaluate that as well, just the practical implications of evaluating this case for death penalty and the political aspects of what they're doing in Denver.
That's Michael Allen with the DA's office.
Every case has its challenges, but I think we've got plenty of evidence to go forward.
The defense was finally granted access to the sealed arrest affidavit, which presumably lays out the case against Stauch and why she was arrested and charged.
I'm not thinking plea right now, I'm thinking trial.
But still reminding everyone.
And she is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
A video released by Gannon's church and his father, showing moments of the boy we've all come to know throughout his life.
This isn't somebody's true crime documentary. This is somebody's real life and real feelings, and they deserve to have this moment of peace.
His father saying he hopes the video keeps Gannon at the forefront of this case. rather than the woman accused of killing him.
And that sealed affidavit has been unsealed. Court TV has obtained a copy of it, and in it, a lot of details surrounding this case, including the evidence inside Gannon's room, lots of blood evidence. Let's bring everyone back in, and let's begin with the scene where much of this blood evidence was gathered was Gannon's own bedroom in the family home. And Seema, to me, that is a huge part of this case, because if you want to talk about abduction, somebody else did it. It had to have happened, according to prosecutors, inside that home in Colorado Springs.
That's right, Vinny. It's on page 4 of the affidavit that you mentioned, and it says even specifically that the murder took place in the afternoon hours, January 27, 2020, in his bedroom, and that there was blood everywhere on the walls, enough blood to stain his mattress through the carpet pad, and even stain the concrete below the bed. What I appreciate the most is how far our science has gone, that even when you try to clean a crime scene, you are still going to find evidence of the crime. And in this case, it was the blood. And then beyond that, you know that his remains, this is according to the forensic evidence in the affidavit, his remains were eventually brought through the house into the garage, and all of this forensically traced.
Absolutely. Let's show the folks at home some of the photos that were in this sealed affidavit. Again, they're in black and white, but it's still, this is the evidence in the case. And we'll begin with that mattress. Julie Grant, this is Gannon's mattress, blood stains on that mattress. This has to be where this crime took place.
The mattress and the forensic evidence that was gathered from Gannon's bedroom, the blood spatter on the wall that was cleaned up, the carpet pieces where the blood soaked through, the stain on the concrete, all of that is going to tell a story of a very violent death that this beautiful 11-year-old child endured. And what's worse is that after the violent killing took place, then there was the cover-up. Allegedly by Letecia Stauch, the stepmother, the one caring for the boy, the one person that this boy was trusting to take care of him at that point in time. His dad's away in the military, and stepmom's the person caring for him. And this is what happens. Investigators, I think, are going to have a field day piecing everything together, getting it ready for prosecutors to tell this story at trial. In my opinion, I think Letecia Stauch is toast.
Yep.
Ted Rollins, when you look at the charges in this case, now, March 20th, the remains were recovered, and they were recovered down in Florida. We'll talk about that on another day. But the allegations were upgraded: crime of violence, the use of a firearm, the alleged use of a knife or some other sharp instrument, and then you've got the blood in the mattress, the electrical socket as well, another place where you find that spatter of blood.
Yeah, and she had some stories that that were associated with this evidence that she came up with during this process. The problem is her story changed by the day and by the hour, and she was providing investigators with stories related to the blood evidence before the blood evidence was made public, and she shouldn't have even known about it. So this blood alone, I believe, takes her down. A lot of cases you go in thinking this could go one way or another. There is so much evidence in this affidavit that it does not look good for the defense.
She better take a plea. Let's not even go to...
If it's available.
Right. Well, that's a good point, because in that piece that we saw, the prosecutor is thinking about the death penalty. And listen, I am 100% in. This woman deserves death. I personally think when it's a crime involving a child, if it's a rape involving a child, give them the death penalty. I'm very severe when it comes to the death penalty with respect to children.
And how about the lies about
Now,
being
this
raped?
case-
How about that was one of the lies that investigators say she told. First, she said little Gannon ran away, went to his friend's house to play, and then she said that someone came in and raped her and abducted him, and it's disgusting. All the lies are disgusting, and a great tool for prosecutors, Vinny.
Now, as we know, Letecia Stauch is the stepmother of Gannon. Gannon's mother and father were no longer together, but they're together now, and they were together when all of this was uncovered by police. Let's take a listen to Gannon's mom.
Gannon is with us. After the stories of people from all over the world, he's not only my hero now, he's the world's hero. So I thank the community, the positive support from a state that I've never visited other than 2 or 3 times. I'm astounded by the amount of love that's not come from me. It's came from my boy. And never thought I'd be standing here. It's a nightmare. I've had to put trust in the people I don't know. Today, I got the worst news and the best news. Obviously, we know what the worst news is, but the best news is that justice will be served. And I'll make sure that justice is served because my boy did not deserve any of this that has happened to him.
This is a horrible case, a mother who is torn up. She wasn't there. She was living in South Carolina at the time. Obviously, mom and dad weren't together anymore, and dad was raising Gannon. But the emotion you feel in this case is so strong. Seema, for prosecutors, how much pressure does that put on them? We were talking about a deal. Colorado is the governor is pushing away from the death penalty. So I don't know if they're going to seek the death penalty here. So I don't think there's going to be a deal because of the emotion that is attached to this and the nature of these charges. There's nothing to offer but life without parole.
But this is a very different case because you say pressure on prosecutors. This pressure is personal pressure. They get invested because it is a child. It's very different than, let's say, prosecuting even a gang-related homicide or a robbery turned bad when it involves adults. When it involves a child, see this kid, okay? This kid is like the cutest thing on the planet. And the whole community is grieving, maybe even the whole state, okay? These prosecutors put it upon themselves, this dilemma, this obsession with finding justice for the family. So it's a lot of personal pressure.
And pressure on the governor, too.
I want to...
You know, that pressure can go all the way to the governor's office because this is one of those cases where people who are kind of in the middle, which is where I am, on the death penalty, you read this one, you hear about this one, you see the video and the pictures of this child and the lies from this woman, that puts you over the edge. And now that pressure to move forward with it is very real.
Absolutely. I want you to listen to Gannon's dad, Al, because he's in a unique situation because he is the man who, unbeknownst to him, married an alleged killer of his own son. Now, he was so broken up that he couldn't speak for himself, but he had a statement that was read by a spokesperson from the sheriff's office.
So now I'm going to read a statement from Al, Gannon's dad. In a moment on September 29, 2008, my heart stopped as my baby boy entered this world way too early, weighing only 1 pound, 6 ounces. His infectious smile and constant laughter made an impact on every single person he's ever met. Although I miss the years when he was learning to walk, learning to talk, and he had welcomed his little sissy home from the hospital, I've been looking forward to his teenage years and the fun we had ahead of us as he became a young man. In a moment, on March 2nd, 2020, my heart stopped again with what we have heard up to this point. My little boy is not coming home. We will never play Nintendo again. No more Taco Tuesdays. No more smooth-looking haircuts. No more Big Bubba for my Lena, and no more G-Man for the world. The person who committed this heinous, horrible crime is one that I gave more to anyone else on this planet, and that is a burden that I will carry with me for a very long time.
Julie, Gannon's dad in such a terrible, terrible spot. And he's going to have to testify during this case. He believes that Letecia murdered his son, Gannon. He married her. This is going to be absolutely heart-wrenching for him to go through this trial.
No, you're absolutely right, Vinny. Heart-wrenching. That's the word. We talked a few minutes ago about the trust that Gannon had for his stepmother, and think about the trust that Al Stauch had for his partner, Letecia. I mean, to trust someone with your child, and he shouldn't feel guilty at all. This is not on him whatsoever. This is all on her for her alleged conduct, alleged by investigators in the state who put all these pieces of evidence together in that very detailed affidavit, 32 pages of lots of evidence against Letecia Stauch. And it is heartbreaking because he's going to have to testify probably to a lot of her statements, which are going to be key here, right? Because we don't have an eyewitness to this. We're going to have to rely on Letecia Stauch's own words, her own actions, and the forensic evidence that those crime scene investigators collected by processing the home, the garage, the scene where they believe the remains were first dumped in Colorado. And so I think it is going to be very tough for him to come into court and then share the text messages and all of the things and all of the stories that he told her. But he's also going to be key for the prosecution, too, because this is a woman, you know, I like to say it, if a jury hears pants on fire, they're going to know Letecia Stauch has been telling lie after lie after lie after lie and lying to her partner, as alleged in the affidavit, Vinny.
Yeah, he becomes such an important part of this case, and too broken up to speak publicly, but at some point, if this goes to trial, he's going to have to testify.
I was waiting on that to like play another video really quick, but it didn't. And if this is based off of the stuff that I've been watching, then you know what I've been watching. Gannon Stauch. Let me get back to the timeline. Actually, I think I'm going to play another video. Okay, so this other video, this next video, it came out. I want to make sure that I'm pretty sure it was that one, but I want to make sure. This next video that I'm going to show you is another one from Court TV. It came out on April the 8th. So the first one that we just watched was the 6th. This one came out the 8th of 2020. And then it just kind of is helping us go through the timeline a little better. And then we'll go back to the timeline. There's not much more. We actually went through like 16 pages of that. And there's only like 22. So I was like, wow. And the rest of it's pretty small like stuff. So it's not like small stuff, but it's like the writing is like bigger. So it's not as much to read. So let me play this for you guys, and then we will talk about this as it's going through.
Tragic story out of Colorado involving an 11-year-old boy named Gannon Stauch. The story began as a missing persons case.
So I'm urging anyone that has any leads, credible leads, if you're too afraid because you know something, a kid just doesn't disappear and no one sees him. It's not how this works. So if you have anything that's credible, if you're afraid, don't worry about it. Imagine my son, how afraid he is. Imagine how afraid Gannon is.
That's the family of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch looking for help to find their missing son. But just 26 days later, that emotional plea turned into heartbreak and a call for justice.
Today, I got the worst news and the best news. Obviously, we know what the worst news is, but the best news is that justice will be served, and I'll make sure that justice is served. She will pay 100% for this heinous thing she done.
Gannon's father, Al, so broken up he couldn't speak, so a member of the sheriff's office delivered his words.
My little boy is not coming home. We will never play Nintendo again. The person who committed this heinous, horrible crime is one that I gave more to anyone else on this planet, and that is a burden that I will carry with me for a very long time.
So who is this person Gannon's father is speaking about? It's Gannon's alleged killer, his wife, Gannon's stepmother. Her name is Letecia Stauch, and at the time Gannon disappeared, Letecia was part of the Stauch's blended family living in this house in Colorado Springs. Gannon's mother and father were no longer together, and Letecia was helping to raise Gannon.
As I've said in the past, we will not try this case in the media.
At this point, investigators and prosecutors have spoken very little about the facts of the case. But the prosecution's theory is laid out pretty clearly in this arrest warrant affidavit obtained by Court TV. It begins with a 911 call at 6:55 p.m. on Monday, January 27th. Letecia told the operator Gannon was supposed to come home from a friend's house an hour ago, and she was unable to locate him. At the time, Gannon's father was out of town on reserve duty. A missing person investigation was opened up, and a community began to search for a little boy.
This was a kid that it was very frequent out front, being very, being a kid, very playful, very funny.
Whatever we could do just to show them that we're thinking of them and, they're in our thoughts and prayers.
As the investigation continued, police began to question Letecia's story. They examined phone records, GPS records, home security system records, and a surveillance video from a neighbor's home.
Neighbor Roderick Drayton gave investigators his home surveillance video showing Gannon leaving with his stepmother, then returning without him on the day the child disappeared. He says he searched the video after seeing the stepmother interviewed.
It just didn't seem right the way she was talking. Okay. If my child is missing, I'm going to face the camera and talk to you, that you see the pain in my face.
In court, prosecutors spoke about the vast amount of evidence gathered during the investigation.
The last number that I heard was over 107 search warrants in status. Yes, 107. 107. I think that number is bigger than that number, though, just based on that was last week sometime that I heard that.
These 107 search warrants uncovered a lot, including blood stains on Gannon's mattress, blood spatter on this electrical socket next to his bed, evidence of blood in the garage and near the bumper of Letecia's Volkswagen. Many of these blood samples were directly linked to Gannon's DNA. All this, enough to arrest Letecia, who was no longer in Colorado where Gannon went missing. Letecia was arrested on March 2nd in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Then, on March 20th, a huge development.
Now to breaking news at 5. It is believed that 11-year-old Gannon Stauch's remains have been found.
Gannon's remains were found not in Colorado, not in South Carolina, but in Florida, 15 miles north of Pensacola, near the Escambia River Bridge in a town called Pace.
Today I filed new formal charges in the case against Letecia Stauch. Those charges are murder in the first degree after deliberation, a Class 1 felony that carries a potential prison sentence of life in prison without parole. In addition to that, I've filed 8 counts of crime of violence for the alleged use of a firearm, a blunt instrument, a knife or other sharp object, and for causing the death of Gannon Stauch.
Letecia Stauch is presumed innocent, and according to the arrest affidavit, she has a story. She told investigators Gannon was abducted by a Hispanic man named Edgardo, who took Gannon at gunpoint after sexually assaulting Letecia inside the family's home. That's a story investigators don't believe, but the question is, will Letecia tell that story to a jury, and will a jury believe it? Or will they deliver the justice Gannon's family is looking for? There's so much about the actions of Letecia Stauch that don't make sense. Let's talk about some of them. Let's bring everyone back in. We've got Seema, Julie, and Ted all here tonight. The first thing that really struck me, Julie, is that her stepson goes missing in Colorado and she's in South Carolina, leaves the state, not looking, not searching. This makes no sense to me.
Exactly, Vinny, exactly. That is an inappropriate reaction to a horrible situation. And that's key. Investigators look for that. Detectives are looking for those big red flags to go up. And now that this case is at the point where we've got the charges, she's in jail awaiting trial, prosecutors can ask for that flight as consciousness of guilt instruction if it's available in the state. It's available in Pennsylvania where I practice law, and that's something I would always hone in on because it says something to the jury, right? The behavior doesn't match what you would think a normal person would do when they're caring for their stepson that they love. They're going to be looking for them every second. But instead, Letecia Stauch is too concerned with telling lies and covering up her story, according to investigators, Vinny.
Yeah, Ted, I don't understand how Gannon goes missing in Colorado. She's found in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Gannon is found, his remains 15 miles north of Pensacola in the panhandle of Florida.
Yeah, and they believe that she was in Florida for 2 days during that period. They believe that is when she deposited the body. It's unclear, though, specifically how she did it, if she had any help, if she was, the logistics around it, I'm sure will come out at trial from what they know. The bottom line is the lies that she has told have been consistent. That's the only thing that's been consistent with her story, that it's been untrue from the very beginning, that, that he left on his own, and then this idea that someone else came into the house and raped her and abducted him, complete nonsense. And in fact, she tried to purchase a fake lie detector result that she was going to bring back to Colorado with her and say, look at everybody, my story may not seem true, but I sent away for these results, and I'm not telling. The whole thing is ridiculous. A jury's going to have a lot to work with.
Lying about a lie detector.
Yes.
That's a new one. That might put her up here. She might go past Arias and Casey Anthony with that one. That's unreal. Seema,
Yeah.
I saved this for you to start the discussion
great.
here on not just any old internet searches, but some of these alleged deleted internet searches that she did. Are you ready? Let's put them up on the screen.
Can't wait. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just a nanny, not a stepmom. Husband uses me to babysit his kids. I'm just a glorified babysitter. Find a new husband. And the final one, find a guy without kids. Are these deleted internet searches the motive?
It is torturous for the defense. Findanewhusband.com. Find somebody with no kids.com. And while we're at it, fakepolygraph.com. Okay, yeah, no, this case is awful. Listen, she's got to take a plea. But I also want to point out something. This affidavit, it really is a treasure trove of information. And all of you have been doing this work for a long time, but I don't think any one of us is used to having such a thick and detailed affidavit. And in the very beginning of it, it points out that this woman has, an albeit slight, but significant criminal history. My question is, did the husband know? And of course, listen, I'm not blaming him or anything like that. But just like judges and lawyers are privy to our histories when we come into a court of law, if he knew that she lost her teaching certificate, if he knew that she had a misdemeanor for communicating threats, he may not have wanted to be with this woman. And she certainly knew that he had kids, and she certainly knew what she was in for as a stepmother.
Yeah, but she raised her own child. Julie, this is the part I don't understand. Like, you want someone without children, right? You feel like you're saying, what's wrong with a divorce? A divorce. Yeah. Just say it's not working anymore. I mean, why? Exactly. I don't understand why you'd have to take it out on this kid is so cute and was so full of life and was loved by everyone, just loved playing out in the front yard with his sister and his friends. I don't understand this.
You're absolutely right. And I think that passion you're showing right now, Vinny, is exactly what the prosecution has to do and will do with this case. Why did that child have to be touched? Why? And I think if I'm the prosecutor, you're going to look at all of these things in her Google search history and point to a motive. Perhaps the motive for prosecutors might be that Letecia Stauch just wanted to be seen. She wanted to be seen. If I'm on the team of the prosecution, I'm going to be using something like that because I think that would infuriate a jury to think that this beautiful little 11-year-old angel 5th grader, adorable child is going to be killed in such a violent way because somebody's looking for a guy without kids and feeling like a nanny. And my favorite one, and I'm quoting here, she said, one day some people will wish they treated you differently. Now, to me, that could really go to that charge of murder after deliberation. If I'm on the prosecution team, I'm going to say, look, there's some.
Can you hear me okay, Crime Curious?
Yep, I've got you.
Okay. I never do open panels, so it's like I had to put my headphones in, so it's just weird having headphones in. Let's see. Let me change my mic real quick. Okay. Okay, I think
But
we're
now that
good.
I'm up here, I can't see chat
Yeah.
anymore. So,
Oh, okay. That's okay. I'll read it to you if we need to. Let
okay.
me see here. I had some questions, but so they just ended with they were saying that they think that maybe she killed Gannon because of her not wanting kids and things of that nature. But what about Lena? Like, what about the other little girl? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why she,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that would be the case per se. If I was like, I didn't really agree with that. But thank you so much for being on here too. If you guys haven't seen Crime Curious's channel, go check her out. She's done extensive research into this case, like more than I've ever seen on any case. And like really, I was so amazed. And then I saw your website and I was like, oh my gosh, she has a website. I was like, this is even better. I
Yeah,
was like, does it get any better? And 'cause it's like in
it's
Word, it's
important.
in Word format.
Yeah, I mean, it's important, and especially in a case like this where it's so convoluted. And keep in mind that everything that is on that website is everything that we know pre-trial, and there's so much that
Yeah.
we just don't know yet. But given the amount of information that's been out there in the public already, and how hard that is to follow, I just wanted to get my arms around it the best I could, and try to help other people with it as well before trial. Because if we can't handle the information that we get before trial, I'm afraid that this is going to be a circus because that's the way Letecia wants it. She wants it confusing. She wants it to be a circus.
You're
And
exactly right.
anything, any little thing that I can do to help that not be the case, I'm going to try. But, as far as motive goes, what the video that we were just watching,
Yeah.
I understand. I just don't think that being a disgruntled stepmom is enough.
Yeah.
Remember how he was eventually found, in that suitcase with the pillows and the blankets and,
To me, like that almost seems like she almost cared in a way. When people put the blankets and the pillow in there. Do you think
yeah,
that she
see,
did that because it was just everything just to get rid of everything? Or do you think she did that because she thought for a minute in her head she wanted him to be comfortable?
I honestly believe that she was trying to set somebody else up from the beginning. and
Really?
and doing it in that way. I mean, the way that he was found, and I won't go into the details. We've already talked about them, and they are very triggering.
Mm-hmm.
But doing everything, all of the overkill. I believe, you don't see people killed in that way unless it's like some sort of cartel hit, right?
Yeah, no, yeah,
And
you don't see that.
and I think that the overkill was not only to confuse investigators, which she's tried to do from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I was on Criminality Friday before
Uh-huh.
I flew back to Colorado Springs, and I was telling her, you don't just I'm not sure how to say it. Forgive me. Yesterday was a
Oh, no,
long
you're
day
fine. You're
of
fine.
traveling, so if I lose my place from time to time, it's just because I'm really tired.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I don't even remember where I was going with that. I apologize.
Oh, no, you're fine. No, you're fine. I think we were talking about like with her motive and stuff. I don't think she would surely.
Right.
I don't know what her motive would be. I mean, and she has been trying to confuse everybody since day one.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. So I have this image in my mind of, detectives and, real detectives and internet detectives, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to put together this puzzle. So I just picture people around a table that has a puzzle on it. And we've got the frame all put together and people are starting to put all the pieces in the middle. And then Letecia just walks by and dumps like 100 pieces that don't even go to the damn puzzle
Yeah.
right in the middle of everybody's work, but the
Yeah.
colors are just close enough that now you can't tell which pieces belong in the puzzle and which pieces don't. So she just, from the beginning has been trying to make everything more difficult.
You're
And,
absolutely right.
even before she was arrested, she was complaining about civil rights violations and constitution, her constitutional rights have been
Yeah.
violated. So when she did go into the jail, she systematically was trying to set them up to infringe upon her rights. And she's since filed a federal lawsuit. You know, she knew she
I
was going
saw
to do that
that.
before she even got arrested. And yet she wants people to believe that she wasn't, in charge of her faculties. That's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
No, she knows exactly what she's doing. And
Right.
so I heard somewhere and that's why I was getting so confused because there's just so much to this case. And I'm like, well, when did that happen? Well, when did this happen? And so I was trying to, because up until I read, literally up until I read your timeline, I didn't even know when they found Gannon.
Right.
Everybody was talking about, they're like, they talk about like Letecia and they're like, she did it. Like it was a lot of lives saying that. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened though? So then I would like go back a little bit because it's been so long. It's
Right.
like been 3 years. So it's been hard to like get everything kind of put together. I don't know. I'm so thankful, but now I have even like more questions and more questions because it's like a
Right.
rabbit hole. You see one thing, like her trying to her escape attempt out of the jail. She was gonna go on like she was gonna go on food like starvation or something so she could fit through the bars of the wall, like the cell or the window. I'm just like, who thinks like that?
Right.
I mean, but I guess she was gonna try. And that's just going
Yeah.
to get her another 8 to 10 years put on her sentence. I mean, she's already gone away for a long time, I feel like, but
Yeah, yeah. So we're at the point now because that not guilty by reason of insanity is an affirmative defense. We're at the point now where her only two options, as if she has options, but
yeah.
the only two options for the judge, in sentencing is going to be if she's found guilty, she goes to prison for the rest of her life, no possibility of parole. And if she's found not guilty by reason of insanity, then she goes to a mental institution.
Until they feel
And
like she's okay.
right, right. And so in that way, it would be a civil commitment rather than a criminal commitment. And that means
Yeah.
that in the state of Colorado, basically that means that she would have the ability once a year, every year, to petition the board for release. And even though I can't imagine a reality where they would let her out, that
Yeah.
does drag Gannon's family back into her
Her
BS once a
life.
year, every year, until she
Wow.
finally dies. And she is still torturing that family from inside her jail cell every time she pulls the next round of shenanigans. And with
Yeah.
Letecia, there's always a next round. She just doesn't quit.
Yeah, no, she hasn't quit. Not in 3 years. I can't believe it's taken
Right.
this long to go. I mean, I guess she's done everything in her power to make sure that it's taken this long to get her to
Right.
go into court. She's kicked and screamed and pleaded. And I think they said, the judge said, even if she's not there, or he said, get her there, even if
Yeah.
she is kicking and screaming. But I
Yeah.
mean, even if she doesn't want to go, I'm assuming that they would just go ahead and proceed without her. That's what I would
Yeah.
say. If you don't want to be here, then we're just going to proceed without you, just like if you were an empty chair. Because they've
Right.
done that in
Well,
other cases.
so the judge did authorize deputies to use whatever physical force may become or may be deemed necessary in order to get her in that courtroom in person and on time.
Yeah.
And so I've been to a few of the pretrial hearings.
Hmm.
I am an El Paso County voter, and this is public information.
Yeah.
But so I was at the September 15th hearing, and that was in 2022. And that was when I first learned who her new doctor is,
Uh-huh.
which we can get into in a little bit. But that was the hearing where she made us all wait like 45 minutes because she wouldn't come into the courtroom from the van.
Oh, yeah.
And
I heard about
so,
that.
oh yeah, I was there.
Oh, wow.
It-
Oh,
and that was the first time that I had seen her in person. And I'm glad that I did that because it was a lot.
was
It
it?
was incredibly emotional for me, given at that point, almost 3 years
Yeah.
of research.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't
And
even imagine.
yeah, I mean, I thought, going into this thing, I thought, you know what? I'm a professional. I can handle this. I can be objective. Well, I'm also a boy mom. I have three sons.
Oh,
And,
oh,
my oldest is 13 and my youngest is 19. Um, anyway, this case taught me that I'm not as strong as I think I am.
yeah,
And it's
man.
taken me to some very dark places. And luckily, it's not just me. I have a whole team of people who are working with me. I have an editor, I have a proofreader, I have an illustrator, I have, my dear, dear friends. So that when I go into those rabbit holes on this case and I get lost and I forget to come back out, I've got people like outside my brain who can just reach
Yeah.
back in and pull me back out. And it's happened several times.
Oh, I bet. I mean, he's 11 years old, and it's so sad because Al put his trust in his wife.
Right.
He didn't.
Right.
I mean, he's going away military training, and I think they do that once a month if it's what I'm thinking of. A lot of military, they'll do that like once a month where they go to train or like. So this might have been something that he did frequently to where it wasn't like a big, where he was thinking it was a big deal to leave his kids with his wife. I mean, it's his wife.
Right. Yeah, it seems like it was normal for him to be gone and her to be in charge. I think
Yeah.
that happened pretty frequently. And I
Well,
don't know much about the details. I just know that he was National Guard
yeah.
and that he was in Oklahoma when it happened.
That's so sad. That's just really
Yeah.
sad. I'll pull back up the timeline too. I think I had I don't know if I have any more videos. I have another one that was from September the 14th, but I don't know if we've
Yeah.
went down that
Oh,
far yet.
so real quick back to that hearing in September,
Yeah.
the first time I saw her. So I was actually sitting in the front row behind the defense. So I know a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, is that a member of Leticia's family?" No, it's
Yeah.
just me.
You're
Just
like, I'm just going behind the
like,
defense.
I just wanted to sit close because I wanted to see,
They were probably thinking that. They're probably like, oh my gosh, someone's here for
Yeah.
her.
Like, who is
Because I
this
mean,
woman?
yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anybody even sitting behind the defense? Was it just you by yourself?
It
That
was
would be kind
me, and then like a couple rows back were some other reporters, but
yeah.
but that was it. Everybody else was on the other side.
You could see like all the
And
reporters just squished together just so they didn't have to sit
yeah,
on that side. Like we just want to
yep,
be over there. But this is an insane case.
yeah.
And
So she
then the
finally comes in. She
yeah,
finally comes in after making us wait like 45 minutes. And when she walks in, she's walking in all like sluggish. And my first thought was like, is she drugged? I mean, what is with this? And then she gets
yeah,
to a point where she's standing right in front of me and getting ready to sit down at the defense table. And then all of a sudden she physically like snaps up so that she's standing straight, because she was hunched over. So then
yeah,
she just kind of like snaps to, and then all of a sudden everything's fine and she sits down.
wow,
And I think, in my opinion, being 5 feet away from her or whatever it was, in my opinion, that was her trying to fake a switch from one personality to the next.
yeah,
I'm not a doctor, I'm not an attorney, but in this project, I've been working with defense attorneys, prosecutors, not on this case, but with experience in other cases,
yeah,
um, forensic psychiatrists, private investigators, the real professionals, and I've been asking them all my questions so that I don't have to guess at any answers because I have, even all that information I have put together, that's just because I wouldn't quit when I wanted an answer to a question and I wanted to, believe in that answer and make sure that, I wasn't following some sort of rumor or somebody with the best of intentions putting out bad information.
yeah.
Um,
No, that you've been putting out really good information.
yeah, but it's not me. It's a whole group of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, I understand that completely. When I first started like just trying to research this case, like I said before, it was just there's just so many layers to it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, what happened first? And then what
Right.
happened second? Because it was like, like, or we would even just talk about it in the chat, like if you talk about something in a chat, like someone will say something, and you're like, okay, well, what happened first? Well, wait, and then it's just like you're sucked in. So
Yeah.
that was one of the, the cases we were talking about here on the channel. And then I was going to pick, two cases out of the bundle that I had, and I just happened to pick two where the victims ended up being in suitcases, which I didn't even know at the time
Right.
prior going into them. But I guess let me see that other video. I can play that other one real quick too, and we can see what it says. I had a couple that were, maybe it'll get my mind going. Let me see here.
Well, while you're doing that,
Oops,
so when
sorry.
she finally did come in, she sat
Yeah.
down.
Oh
She
yeah,
made it
sorry.
all the way through the hearing just fine.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the judge looked to her directly and told her once again, like, you're not going to pull this crap anymore. You're going to be here in person on time. And she snapped back at the judge. Now, the people that were watching it on WebEx, the microphones were muted at that moment. And so anybody watching the WebEx didn't get to hear her snapping, clapping back at the judge. But I was right there. So in that moment, she's like, well, I wasn't refusing to come in. I have to be given hygiene before court appearances. And apparently she had done something at the jail that made her unable to take a shower before the hearing. And she was saying that she didn't have toilet paper. And then she was complaining that at the last hearing, which was in August of 2022, that there was no air conditioning in the van and that they were doing that on purpose. And,
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
she really believes that she is the victim in this case.
Yeah.
She
I
is a
think
perpetual victim.
if someone asked her who Gannon was, she'd probably say who?
Right.
Like, do you remember Gannon? Because, a lot of times, the victims, I feel like they get they get lost in these cases. But I feel like in this one, he hasn't. Like,
Yeah,
I really
hope
feel like
not.
that he hasn't because I've read some really crazy things about her. But every time I read something crazy about her, I think of him. I don't know. I just think of that poor little
Right.
boy. Oh, thank you so much. Be happy for the super sticker. Appreciate that. So the WebEx court is not fun. Yeah, I don't like doing WebEx. I'd rather them have it televised. But if it's anything, so are they? And that's another question. Are they televising hers?
So it's not going to be televised. It will be available on WebEx. There are going to be 3 stationary cameras. One camera on the judge, one camera on the courtroom, one camera on the witness. The jury will not be shown. So tomorrow morning is when jury selection begins. And that will also be on WebEx. And there's a link on how to get directly into that WebEx on my Crime Curious website.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I think I saw that.
But the judge has given people permission to restream that WebEx. So he's not going to let like Law and Crime into the courtroom with their cameras. But Law and Crime will be restreaming the WebEx on their YouTube channel. But it's those stationary cameras. So, when Law and Crime has their own camera in the courtroom, they can zoom in on Letecia in this moment or zoom in on the witness at that moment. And they just won't be able to do that. It's going to be 3 stationary cameras.
That's what they were saying. I do remember them saying like it's not going to be like our normal, normal stuff that you see. It's not going to be our quality, but it'll be something. So, well, I'm just glad we'll be able to see her.
Yeah.
And all of her
I'm
glory.
sure it'll be all over YouTube and Facebook. So I'm going to be there in person. Now I won't be in there. I won't be in the courtroom for jury selection because there are only certain people who are allowed in the courtroom during that process in this case because the courtroom's not that big. So there are going to be all of the potential jurors, which is a huge pool.
Yeah.
And so it'll be the prosecution. 2 people are going to be allowed in on the prosecution side, sitting in that front row. And I assume that's going to be Gannon's mother and father. And then 2 people are allowed in on Letecia's side. And, whether or not those people will be invisible, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see anybody showing up.
And then 2 members of the press. Although those 2 members of the press, again, are not going to be allowed to bring cameras or anything.
Yeah.
It's going to be somebody from KRDO. So that'll be Dan Beatty. He's a great journalist. And I worked with him on the Frazee stuff. But and then the other one is the Gazette. So one like a news channel on TV and one newspaper are going to be allowed in during jury selection. But but like I said, it will be available on WebEx and it will be restreamed all over the place. So there's a lot of good true crime channels who are going to be streaming it.
Are they? I didn't know if anyone was going to stream. Is CDT, is she going to stream it?
I don't think she is, just because the timing of it and her responsibilities, like with kids after school and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know she goes live normally in the mornings. That's why I wasn't sure.
Right.
Because she doesn't usually go in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So that might be because of the kids.
Yeah. Now she's going to be, all over it, of course, but I don't think she's going to be streaming the trial itself.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
sure
what I'll
she'll
do.
have clips and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll do
thing-
more at night, maybe.
Right. Like recaps of what happened that day
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. So another thing about the jury selection and the trial. So presentation of evidence is going to begin on April 3rd, and that's when we'll have all three of those cameras.
Oh, okay. I was
Because
thinking April 4th for some reason.
nope, it'll be
Oh,
Monday, April
good.
3rd, and the the only thing with that schedule is that there will be no court on Thursdays.
Oh.
And so, because Judge Werner is hearing other cases, while all of this is going
yeah.
on, so he basically moved all of his other cases to Thursdays.
Oh, wow.
So we'll have no court on Thursdays, and then that's why I'm going to do a live stream on my channel every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain, 3:30 Eastern,
3:30
and I would
Eastern.
love for you to join me over
Yeah,
there.
of course. Oh, yeah. Because I can do
And
3:30 Eastern. I'm usually, I mean, I can get on any time. I'm a stay-at-home person. I do all my
Yeah.
work from home. I do boutique. I own a boutique, so it's a website, and then I do YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm always at home. And 3:30 Eastern Standard, that's a good time for me too.
Yeah.
So I will be, I'll be there. I'll be totally interested to know more. This trial is going to have my attention. And knowing me, I probably will stream it some days. I know that when,
Sure.
like Alec Murdaugh, when he took the stand, as soon as
Mm-hmm.
I found out, I had the thumbnail ready. I was like, I have a feeling he's going to go on the stand today, and he did. So we just hurry, we hurried and jumped on.
Yeah.
But if she's pleading insanity, I'm assuming she probably won't even be near the stand.
I mean, if I were her attorney, I wouldn't let her anywhere near the stand.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I guess the overall decision will be her, and she may be like another Alec Murdaugh, where she sees the chip stacking against her. Maybe she wants to try to help herself, which is not going to
Right.
help her, but she might be that narcissistic to where she's like, maybe they'll believe
Absolutely.
me. If I say it, they'll believe me. Because that's how
Right.
she's been. I mean, it hasn't worked for her yet, but she
Yeah.
thinks it will.
No, she's one of the most self-centered people I've ever studied.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen anyone like her in a long time. I don't even
Yeah.
know I don't even know if we have anybody like her.
Yeah.
And there's been a few of them out there. The next video I have here, I'll play. And so you said that court is April 3rd. So when she left that day, did she act the same? Like, did she act like she was like lethargic or anything, or did she just walk out like she was like pissed?
She
Like
walked
ready
out
to
like
go
she
there?
was she walked out like she was some sort of badass in her own mind. It was
Really?
disgusting.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
she head held high.
I wonder how they treat her in the jail. Like, I wonder if she's with anybody yet.
Well, so she was
That's something I
mentioned.
don't know.
She was mentioned a few days ago in a case. Okay, so in the El Paso County Jail in January of 2023, one of the inmates died of a fentanyl overdose. Somebody had smuggled in drugs to the El Paso County Jail.
Oh wow.
And in the arrest affidavit, Letecia Stauch is mentioned because at one point Letecia comes out of her cell with a brown paper bag and puts it on a table in the common area and then walks away. And then 20 minutes later, somebody else comes by, picks up that brown paper bag, and then takes it over to Renee Lawrence. And Renee Lawrence is the one that overdosed. Now, they don't know what was in that brown paper bag
Yeah.
because, they only caught it, after the fact, after the inmate had already passed. And this is, they did like a 2-month long investigation. And then they saw that on the footage. And so they have no way of knowing what was in that paper bag because they didn't catch it in real time. But they did say that they didn't think it was the drugs because she was so nonchalant about it. She just
Yeah.
felt, whoever wrote the affidavit just felt like if that had been the drugs, they would have been way more sneaky about it. But the truth is they don't know. They have no idea what was in that brown paper bag. All they know is Letecia put it on the table. Somebody else picked it up and gave it to Renee Lawrence. And then Renee passed away of a drug overdose.
Wow. I didn't know about that. I did hear,
Yeah.
didn't somebody mess with her peanut butter?
Yeah. Allegedly somebody was putting poison threats in her peanut butter.
Oh my Lord. Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Just something else.
if you, so she's saying that they were putting like, okay, so were they like writing it out in the peanut butter, or were they putting something in the peanut butter?
I have no idea.
I was gonna say if it's drugs, they're gonna keep their drugs. They're not gonna waste their drugs on trying to kill her. They're going to, they're going to keep it. But they just, some of the stuff, it's laughable. It's like, where did she Google these things? What can I say that's off the wall today? Look, poor Vinny's eyes are messed up. This one was from, Vincent sent me a few videos. So this one was from September the 14th, 2021. And this one I don't think I've seen. I don't think I saw the newer ones. So I figured I could play this one and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
If you'd like to do that.
Yeah.
Stauch was just 11 years old when he disappeared. His own stepmother now charged with his murder. Our sister station, KOAA, has more for us.
For a while now, we've only had bits and pieces.
We can see a picture if we only have half of the puzzle.
But now, a picture becoming more clear, no matter how devastating the details.
There's a significant pool of blood. There's blood splatter. There's blood on her car.
Attorney Stephen Longo weighed in on the unsealed arrest affidavit for Letecia Stauch.
It really shuts the door on any potential credibility she might try to have.
It all started January 27th when Gannon stayed home from school with his stepmom, Letecia. Surveillance shows them leaving the home around 10. They get back after 2. Letecia's phone was left at home the whole day and not unlocked until around 30 minutes after she returned. Then, right before 5, a text sent to her daughter asking for cleaning supplies, detectives say are commonly used to clean blood. Then, just before 7, Letecia calls 911, saying Gannon never came home from a friend's house. Documents show that would be the first of many scenarios she shared with detectives in the days to come. Investigators believe Gannon was killed in his bedroom between 2 and 5:30 that day.
I think the only potential plea agreement would be a matter of efficiency for her to plead to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Longo says that's the best option for the defense, which also has to account for a defendant who showed strange behavior after her stepson's disappearance, like washing her car before a police interview and bringing notes to it, along with giving alibis and excuses for certain evidence that hadn't been revealed to the public yet. Detectives also believe Letecia initially tried to dispose of Gannon's body January 28th near Perry Park. They found evidence that had been there, but was later moved.
That arrest affidavit, so full of details, and none of these details obviously help Letecia Stauch as you go through them page by page by page. Let's bring everyone back in. And Seema, I know today you had an opportunity to speak with one of the neighbors who gave you that surveillance video that he shared with investigators during this case. Tell us a little bit about the video first.
Okay, so this neighbor has provided us a wealth of information, but also confusion when you compare it to the affidavit. The video shows that red truck. And you have Letecia Stauch and how the neighbor described a drugged out appearing Gannon getting into the red truck. And this is about, I think he said actually 10:13 a.m. And then the truck returns. This is what he said at 2:19 p.m. Letecia gets out and Gannon does not get out. So this is why it's very confusing. And then I spoke to him, Vinny, actually, before we went on the air to confirm all of this. Roderick Drayton, the neighbor, and there's one house in between his house and the Stauches. He is saying to me that he watched this video 30 times. And he watched it with the FBI. And he is certain that he never saw Gannon get out of the truck. Now, I want you to keep in mind that at some point he had turned over his password to the surveillance video, all of that video to the FBI, and he didn't really look after 2:19. So I think that is what we're waiting for, is to find out, did the FBI find anything on that video after 2:19 p.m. that implicates Letecia Stauch even further?
Yeah, Ted, this was again, a little bit of an inconsistency. At the time when this video was first released, everyone thought, okay, this is it. So she drives somewhere and he is gone. But now they're saying the time of death is after he returns, yet he's not really seen on that video.
Yeah, so obviously authorities know more than we do, right? So she must have left, came back without him. Where was he at that point, and when did he come back in? Because they believe he was killed in the house, and the physical evidence seems to support that. A lot of questions, and you wonder if, in a twist, when we get to trial, if the defense is going to try to use this video to their advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a listen to a little bit of what Roderick Drayton told Asima earlier today.
So I started looking and looking. I stayed up half the night just looking and looking and looking from frame to frame to frame to frame until I saw Sunday. The kids were outside playing. She picked them up. I could hear her tell Gannon, Gannon, you get on this side, Lamb, you get on the other side. And they drove away, and I watched them. They came back. He got out of the car. He took off running to the house. And so that Monday I saw him. I saw her walk to the truck, back up. And then I saw Gannon come out the house, and I was like, man, he doesn't look right. He doesn't like he did Sunday, because Sunday he was running and playing. And he looked like he was struggling. Like I said, like he was drugged or something, because he just could barely move. He got in the truck and they left. So I just kind of went through the videos to see what time they came back. So when they came back, I saw she get out of the truck. I can hear her lock the door when she got out of the truck, and I could hear the garage door opening. So she got out, she locked the truck and went in the house.
Julie Grant, this part of the mystery becomes very confusing, and I think Ted might be on something here. I mean, if there is any sort of level of inconsistency, that's something that the defense always pounces upon, you know, and sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't, but it just doesn't, the story's not quite making sense right now.
Yes, Vinny, you and Ted are exactly right on that. The defense is going to jump all over this. However, I would caution anybody from jumping to a conclusion just yet, because one thing is, do we know if that time on the video is exact? Because if this is a home video camera, do we know that his time was exactly synced up with the time of day in the state's timeline? We really don't. We're not sure. Second of all, the state doesn't have to get boxed in on a timeline, and that can be something tricky for prosecutors. They don't have to nail his death down to an exact second. They know, and they have a mountain of evidence showing this beautiful little boy died on January 27th. That's really all they need to do. We all know the language in when we see affidavits processed all over the country, on or about January 27th. Those are the magic words. So they don't need to prove it down to the hour. I think it was great this neighbor came forward and was so forthcoming, sharing that evidence. I hope that investigators can authenticate the tape and make sure the time is what they believe it to be.
All right, another amazing moment in this interview that Seema did is when Roderick Drayton, the neighbor's wife, I guess, is listening to the conversation.
Oh, yeah, she was great.
And she jumps in, right? So we hear her, but I don't think we're going to see her. Let's take a listen to her describing Letecia Stauch.
So when I came home from work and I looked over there, she was smiling. She was actually acting like she was at a barbecue, because I was like, that's very strange. My son's missing. I'm over here acting like we're having a party, because a lot of people came to the neighborhood to offer to look for Gannon. And she was out there smiling, and she was just enjoying the company and was just too relaxed. Not like a parent that was missing a child.
Seema, relaxed and in a good mood after the child goes missing?
Well, this is great. Okay, so Tamika is the MVP, and that's Mr. Drayton's wife. So it's very interesting because this is now the 28th, okay? So the day of the incident, the murder is, and Julie's exactly right, they can change the date if they want, but the bottom line is they're putting it down as January 27th. So if we just go by that timeline, on January 28th, Roderick and Tamika go over to the Stauch's house, like outside, everybody's hanging out. And Roderick, they don't know each other very well, but he says to Letecia, hey, my cameras can capture your home. Do you want me to look through my cameras? And she says no. And then Tamika said how she observed, because I said, what was her demeanor like? And Tamika from the side of the camera said, I need to, tell Seema what I observed. And this is 24 hours after the child is gone.
Ted Rollins, this is the kind of evidence that you might not think, some people look at it and say, well, it's not a murder weapon. Jurors will understand this, and jurors will, I think, latch onto this. The way she is acting and reacting when this child is presumably missing, and it just does not make any sort of sense.
Yeah, we saw it with Lori Vallow when her husband Charles was shot and killed by her brother. She's out there laughing with the police officers. We saw it with Scott Peterson when he's leaning back in his initial detective interview, trying to be cool, Mr. Cool. Jurors hate it, and they look into there and they say, what would I be doing right now if my son was missing, my stepson? I wouldn't be joking around. I would be freaking out, asking everybody for help. It doesn't look good, and jurors absolutely hold it against the defense.
Julie, the way you act and react is something, jurors bring their common sense into the courtroom, and the common sense tells you if you're a stepmother and you're legitimately concerned, you're not going to be smiling and laughing the day after an 11-year-old boy is missing, and presumably now, if her story, I don't know what story she's going to go with, but if she's going with, I was just raped yesterday, I don't think she would be smiling either, but she was raped and an 11-year-old boy was abducted at gunpoint, and she's acting like she's going to a backyard barbecue.
Exactly, Vinny. No reason to smile in any of the scenarios that she laid out for police, the many, many different stories that this woman told. Seema, great job getting that information from those folks because it's very telling. It tells us that Letecia Stauch had an inappropriate reaction, and not just one inappropriate reaction. Let's talk about how she fled too. The child's missing and she goes to another state. That's inappropriate. How about on the 29th, 2 days later, when she was questioned by investigators, the woman needed to read from her notes. If that isn't an inappropriate reaction, I don't know what is. And I'll tell you one more. Paying for a fake polygraph test. Your child goes missing because he doesn't come home from a friend's house and you're so concerned, but you got to go pay for the fake polygraph to show that you didn't do it. If I'm the prosecutor, I'm going to hammer home those two words, inappropriate reaction, for this jury all day long, Vinny.
All right, we're going to adjourn this group for just a short time. We'll
Wow, that was a lot. They did a lot there. Crime Curious, I wanted to tell you the chat said that they love you and they support you. Since they said you couldn't see it. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I have a question because this has been a big question on a lot of different channels and I need to watch the surveillance tape again of him coming back. Did he come back home with her that day, do you think?
Okay, so in my opinion, he did not come back home. And the thing that really sealed it for me was what Roderick Drayton said about the audio. So we don't hear the audio, we only see the video. And he says that he scoured that tape up and down over and over. And she gets home, she gets out, she locks the door, she goes in through the garage.
Yeah.
And I feel like obviously I don't know him, but he seemed incredibly sincere in saying that. But then there are other things, that I know now that I didn't know back then. And one of those things is I know who she was trying to set up. Now she changed his name to Edgar. And if you remember when she was first incarcerated, for that first year, she was writing letters to strangers with YouTube channels.
Yeah.
She was reaching out to reporters. She was, it's like she launched an entire public relations campaign. And to one of her pen pals, actually she was here in the chat earlier, in this video. Jules, do you know who Jules is?
No, I don't think so.
It used to be Another Day in the Car. Now I think it's True Crime with Jules Wolfe.
Oh, maybe that one. Yeah, the True Crime with Jules Wolfe sounds familiar.
Yeah, she traded letters with Letecia for the first year. Now she didn't release them into the public, and she's given me access to those letters, and I was able to learn a great deal. But one of the things, so when Gannon first went missing, I was living in Monument, which is just north of Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
But I was bartending at Palmer Lake Pub, and Palmer Lake is a very small place. And I was leaving work one night at the end of January, and I slipped on the ice and I fell and I broke my arm just right below the shoulder. And I had already been sucked into like true crime on YouTube because of Chris Watts and Patrick Frazee and all those other things that had happened back then. And so when I found out that they were searching for this little boy in Palmer Lake, and I was, trapped at home, so I kind of had to do quarantine before COVID. Just as my arm was healing and I was back to being able to function again, then COVID hit. So it was a real easy time to be just, you know, just YouTube. That's where I
Yeah.
was all the time back then. But anyway, so I had, I grabbed hold of it and I just didn't let it go. And so she was trading letters with Jules. She was trading letters with members of a channel called Wicked Truths. Back then it was Wicked Truths and F-bombs. Now it's just Wicked Truths. She was also trading letters with another YouTuber called Kit Kat from back then. And so I just found it very interesting to reach out to all of these different people that she was talking to.
Yeah, she was just trying to
Because
get someone to listen to her.
absolutely, but she was telling different people different things.
Oh,
Just like she told the police one thing and she told the news reporter another thing. And then she told this different news outlet another thing. She was doing the same thing with her pen pals.
yeah.
And she just really thought she was going to be able to just dominate and control this narrative. And thank God that, she wasn't. But so in this, I started to find out, what she said is that Edgar, that's not his real name. I do know his real name, but I flatly refuse to put it out in the public. It's not fair
Oh
to him.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's fine.
And he is a local businessman who is well respected. So, but anyway, I guess what she was telling, so she told it to Crime Online and she told it to her pen pals. And she said that Edgar should be in jail for manslaughter, kidnapping, and tampering, and that her husband should be in jail for manslaughter. And because, at one point she actually put the blame on her husband, who wasn't even in town when it happened. But
Probably after she couldn't
anyways,
go home to him.
right.
I mean, she was probably, that sounds like she was just being vindictive at that point.
Oh yeah, there's nobody she won't throw under the bus. She works on leverage. Leverage is her thing. Looking at her history, I've looked at her criminal background, but also she is incredibly litigious. She loves a good civil lawsuit, and so at one point she successfully sued a school she was working for. She sued the assistant principal for sexual harassment, and she won.
Oh,
So one of the nicknames that I have for her is I call her the unholy queen of technicalities.
yeah.
And it couldn't be more true. So anyway, it was the 1 year anniversary of when he had gone missing. And I went back and I got in my car and I went to every physical location that they mentioned in the arrest affidavit. Everything. I went to the car wash. I went to the place where the particle board was found. I went to the address where they lived. I went to the Petco. And Jules did the same thing. But anyway, so I had gone back up to where the particle board was found, and I sat there for a long time, and there was a real estate sign, and then I followed that rabbit hole, thinking that maybe I could learn more about this property where the particle board was found.
Mm-hmm.
And so I chased that rabbit in that direction, and it led me to a man who I thought might be this Edgar that Letecia was talking about. She said that they were playing high stakes poker, and that her husband owed this man a ton of money, and that's why he kidnapped and killed Gannon, is because of her husband's excessive gambling debt.
Oh, instead of
it's one of many.
or I can't pronounce his name.
Right.
Eduardo, I can say his name, Eduardo.
Right.
But I'm just like, that's why when I was digging into this case, I'm like, what's going what? I'm so glad that you came on to help sort it out because it is a lot. It's probably one of the most complex cases I've ever dealt with.
Absolutely.
And this is only like day one, really.
And tracking her lies. Tracking her lies is not easy, but then when it all does come together, you're like, oh, that's exactly what she was thinking. That's awful.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense once it all comes
Yeah, so she
together.
eventually said that this Edgar, the guy that she codenamed Edgar, had actually sent Eduardo, because she said Edgar is a very dangerous local businessman, trying to make it look
Yeah.
like he was associated with the mob or the cartel or whatever, which again
Yeah.
explains the overkill. Also to cover her tracks. One of the things that was a little bit alarming. So there are two things that have alarmed me. One, the debate about whether or not he came home that day.
Yeah.
That's a little scary, not knowing what's going to happen at trial. But then the other thing is, well, I don't see it's so hard not to just jump all the way ahead of myself. But the other thing is the cause of death. Because during the preliminary hearing in September of 2021, they had someone on. It was Sergeant Yoder was the witness, and Sergeant Yoder was talking about the cause of death and said that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head and a gunshot wound. But that very same witness, when cross-examined, admitted that they couldn't be sure whether those things happened before or after Gannon passed. And so once again, I was really alarmed, like, oh no, oh no. I mean, you can't say that's his cause of death and then say that you don't know whether it happened before or after. So that was frightening to
Yeah.
me.
Well, because wasn't he stabbed? He was stabbed, right? Too.
He had
Or
18 sharp force wounds, not to mention defensive wounds, scratches and cuts.
yeah. That I
But
mean,
there
that's
were,
just so
yeah,
sad.
yeah.
So I
It's
just wonder
terrible.
what the fine. I mean, I wonder. He had to have suffered. That's just so terrible.
Absolutely.
Because it's like
And I do think she drugged him, but that's not mercy.
no, it's not at all.
You know,
No,
um,
that could be even more agony because maybe you're trying to fight, but you can't.
right,
But what I mean, like
right,
your mind's there, but your body's not wanting to cooperate with you. And
right.
that's why, like on the video, on the surveillance, the neighbor, he does seem really genuine.
Yeah,
He said that he normally when he hears them pull up, like he hears the kids out playing, like they're hollering. Normally when you get home, your kids jump out of the car. Normally they holler something. I don't know why I'm
right.
thinking that, but they normally don't get out very quietly and
Yeah,
not say anything. And he even said he could hear the garage door opening and
yep,
closing, but he didn't
yep.
hear a kid's voice. That's why
Or
I
a
was like, well,
second
maybe,
car door.
yeah. And I'm like, was there another, did he come home?
Right.
So now I'm like
Yeah,
curious.
and I'm sure he watched long before that part and long after that part, because at one point I was thinking, okay, well maybe he was drugged, he was in the back seat, she came in out and got him later, and whatever. But he watched that footage, and as far as he's concerned, Gannon didn't come home. Now, at the same time, I would never, uh, I am an El Paso County voter. I did vote for that district attorney. I have a lot of faith in his ability to do his job, and his job is not my job. The only power that I have in a courtroom is who I vote for as it relates to judges and district attorneys.
Yeah.
And they do know so much more than we know. Even with my comprehensive review of what I think I know, all of that basically has to be thrown out of that window as soon as the jury gets seated, because the only thing that matters is what that jury hears in that courtroom.
Yeah.
That's all they can base their decision on, is evidence that is presented to them at trial. And so I have to keep, get in where I fit in when it comes to that. And there is a lot of information out there, and we're going to find out so much more. For example, you showed that map of them going from Colorado Springs to Trinidad,
Yeah.
to the Escambia River Bridge, then down into Orlando, and then up into South Carolina. But in looking at the most recent list of endorsed witnesses for the prosecution, there are 5 members of law enforcement coming from Rhode Island. And something
I
happened in
saw
Rhode
that.
Island.
Yeah. I wonder
Yeah.
what happened there.
And they're not designated as expert witnesses. So they're going to offer direct testimony about something that happened in Rhode Island. And I have no idea what happened in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So that'll be very interesting as well.
Unless for some, I mean, this is like off the wall, but unless for some crazy thing, there was some like convention in Florida with police officers, and 4 or 5 of them happen to be from Rhode Island. But I don't, that would just be like the most off the wall thing I've ever heard of. That would be a Letecia statement.
Right. Well, and just for comparison. Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
that's so far. It's so far up. I'm just trying to think of what they would be doing there.
Right. Well, and just for comparison, his body was found in Florida, and there are only 4 members of law enforcement coming from Florida. There are 5 from Rhode Island, and we don't know what happened
So
there
it has
yet.
to be something big.
Yeah.
Do you think it could be something before the murders? Like
No idea.
from her past, maybe?
No clue.
Because, I mean, maybe she lived there before. I don't know.
Oh, so what I was saying before, on the 1-year anniversary, I'm up there nosing around and there's a little memorial up there in Palmer Lake where they found the particle board. And so I went back to Jules and I said, I know that because I had known at that point that Letecia had told her the name, Edgar's real name. The names in this case are as confusing as the vehicles,
Yeah.
And I knew that she had told her, but Jules didn't tell me his name. And so I reached out to Jules and I said, listen, I just need you to confirm, is this the name? And she said, yes, that's it. And so that really locked it all together for me, because the man that she was trying to set up for Gannon's murder is associated to that property where the particle board was found. Now, he's not on the witness list for the prosecution. You know who else isn't on the witness list for the prosecution? Is their babysitter.
Oh, wow.
And Letecia tried to drag their babysitter into this thing a lot in the beginning, because anybody who would help further her narrative, she was trying to exploit and use, because that's what she does.
Yeah.
But that babysitter isn't on their list of witnesses either. So
I wonder if they feel like they have enough. But you would think that they would still want to have extra.
Well, if you're the district attorney and you're tasked with explaining this case to a jury,
yeah,
you're gonna have to leave a lot of BS out.
Yeah. I guess it's gonna be a hard one.
Right.
And I wonder, do they get, because I know in Alec Murdaugh's trial, they didn't get to take notes. I wonder if they'll be able to take notes in this trial.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Another thing they might be able to do is ask questions. I know in the trial against Mark Redwine that was down in Durango, the jury was able to ask questions after listening to testimony. And I think that's a really powerful tool as well.
I think that is too, to do it right when they're, right when it's fresh.
Right.
And not have to make them wait and then go back to try to deliberate it amongst themselves and not have a correct answer. A fact, you know what I mean? 100% factual answer if they needed it.
Yeah,
I was on a jury one time and it wasn't fun.
Yeah. I was just waiting for that summons, being an El Paso County voter. I'm like, oh, I dare you.
You're like, I'll be ready for it.
Right. Oh, there are so many times over the last 3 years where I've really thought, okay, what can I do that doesn't harm another human being that'll get me thrown in the El Paso County jail for a weekend?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Just go to the bar and act a fool.
Right.
Sometimes they won't even take you. Just be like, can you just take me?
Right. Can you
and I
just
need to
put
be.
me in the
I
cell
need to
with
be
her
by.
for-
Yeah, I just need to be by Letecia. We know each other.
Yeah. We're
She'll-
about to get
she'll-
to know each other real
She'll tell me
well.
anything. She'll tell me
Right.
anything you need to know.
I hate to do this because there is still so much to go over.
Oh, no
but
problem.
it's 9:00 here and I'm staying at an
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Oh,
And
no-
that's when they
oh,
kind of
that's
ask
nice.
people to be quiet.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming up.
Yeah, I've been in Virginia for the last couple of months. Things are just too expensive here right now. So,
Over
I
in
didn't
Virginia?
officially. No, in Colorado.
Oh, Colorado.
And so I went and stayed with friends in Virginia for a couple of months and came back for the trial. And hopefully I'll be able to, find another rental that's not as insane as Letecia Stauch. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
She might be batshit crazy, but that doesn't mean she's not guilty.
Exactly.
You can be crazy and still be guilty. So.
Exactly. I think there's something mentally wrong with her for sure, but I think that she was mentally competent when she did this.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's where they're going to have to try to get the jury to decipher those two. But thank you so much for coming up. And I'll be talking about this case. So anytime you want to come up and chit chat with me, let me know. And I'll be for sure on your channel on Thursdays.
Yeah,
Check
let's
you
definitely
out.
continue this. Now, I'm still
Yeah.
going to be listening and I'll be back in the chat. I just can't talk
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine. I'm gonna get off soon anyway, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming up. Have a good night.
Of course. Good
All
night.
right, bye. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna take my headphones out really quick. Let me switch my sound. Let me put these away. Okay, you guys should be able to hear me. Okay, now you guys can hear me, I think. Okay. Oh, thanks so much, Crime Curious, for coming up here. Oh my gosh, that was like literally the best, because now I feel like I have a better understanding of this whole case and of crazy Letecia. She said it's time for bed. No, I could see the chat was, I could see I saw someone say that ADHD was kicking in. And I was like, oh gosh, that's so funny. I was like, that's so funny. Therese isn't in the live. That's so funny. I'm reading the chat. You guys are funny. So yeah, we'll take a break it there. But that was, oh my gosh, there is so much more. There's so much. I need like those headphones that go over your ears. Those things are so ugly though. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm gonna start my camera. Like the ones that go like this. I wore like Vincent's one day, because I got him a pair of like really nice ones from like that. What's that website called? The modern site. I don't know. For like all the modern stuff. I don't know. I put his on, but they look so bad on me. So I just tried to wear my AirPods, but. So I'm glad there was no echoes. We did that without an echo and everything. That's great. And that was a lot of information. That was like, oh, I needed that information. Because I literally listened to so much today. And I'm just so glad that there's going to be some justice for this little boy. There is. And it's because of people like Crime Curious and her, her crew of people. And, the people that are on the news that kept this alive. And his parents, Al, and his mom, Landon, and his sister, Lena. Is it Lena or Lana? I think it's Lena. I feel really bad for all of them. And even Harley, if she, she had nothing to do with this, if she, in fact, she had nothing to do with any of this, I feel bad for her too, because she grew up with him as a sibling, and I couldn't imagine losing a sibling. I have never, ever, never. Summer. Oh my gosh. So I forgot to tell you, Summer, in the chat. I saw Karen. We had a lady, Karen. She made a comment today on one of my videos. She said that I talk about stuff that's not the content for too long or something. I don't know. It made me giggle because Summer always has something cute to say. Like, thank you for the comment. And I was like, no, I just was laughing about it. It just made me giggle because her name was Karen. Oh man, they just need to stop that with it just makes me laugh though, because her, like, of all the people's name. Okay, so this was the video that we did last night, like the live. It did really good. We did like 15,000 people have watched it. So for only one, there was one so there was one complaint. And I said out of 15,000 people, because she said obviously or something like that. And I was like, well, obviously. I was like, 15,000 people watched the video and you're the only one to complain, Karen. And then after I wrote that, I laughed so hard because I was just like, oh man. Because it was just like, it fit perfect. But it was funny. It was really funny. Usually, like, if someone says something bad, like if someone says something kind of like bitchy to you, I promise if you're nice back to them, because I've had to find this out by the hard way. So at first I was like, on my phone or on my keyboard. But I found if you just kind of like, if you're nice to people, they'll come back and like like most of the time, like not all the time, but most of the time they'll come back and they'll comment and they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just having a bad day or a bad moment. And I'm like, I could tell. I could tell. But I used to not be like that. I used to be like, I'm going to tell this person what's up. And then I realized I can't do that. Ducking Karen, yeah. And then I saw that in the chat earlier too, where Teresa was talking about her one cuss word she cussed the other night. That was still the funniest thing I've ever seen. Because it usually autocorrects to ducking. It doesn't autocorrect to the other word. Because someone even said that. It was almost like, it's because you use that word too much. I thought that was funny. But there was only one other video I was going to show you, and we'll just save it for tomorrow or something, because jury selection starts tomorrow. I hope that they get the whole jury tomorrow. I hope they can get them all. I wonder how many they're going to want for her. I think with how many they have on Alec? 20? 16 or 18 or 20, I think. They used like 4 of them. I don't know. They had so many. That was you who said that. I couldn't remember. If it walks like a duck, looks like a duck, it's a Karen. That's making me laugh. Man, most of the time you guys do something ridiculously funny and I'm off camera, which is good. And I don't know why, because I'm on camera pretty frequently, I feel like, but I'm glad I'm not sometimes when some of the stuff you guys say, because I'd probably be canceled for laughing so hard. We do laugh. We have to laugh at the end, you know. You have to laugh at the end of your lives a little and just kind of let loose. So there's going to be 12 jurors, 6 alternates. Wow, 18 people. That's a lot. They're not messing around. They don't want anybody that's got COVID. I can't believe how many people were getting sick during Alex's trial. That was insane to me. And speaking of him, I wonder how he's doing behind bars. We'll have to do I think Nancy did a life behind bars with Alec Murdoch. So we'll have to listen to that one of these days to break up the cases. Oh, actually, speaking of cases, remember the Idaho 4, like on Friday we did the live stream. Ashley Banfield was like, oh my God, they're going to come out with new paperwork. Well, they haven't yet. I just thought I would check, which I didn't think they would over the weekend, but I thought maybe if they might want to dump them, they would. So yeah. So, okay. Awesome. So thank you again to Crime Curious for being up here with me. You're welcome to come up anytime. I like talking to you. You have a good voice. No background noise. I love that. That was music to my ears. It sounded great. I'm one of those people, like little noises bother me. I'm the worst. Teresa's phone died. She said my phone died. She's out. Never forget sweet sour. You guys are the best. So yeah, I'm gonna jump off of here and get some sleep here soon, maybe. I wonder if that hair is growing back at all. Oh, I bet it is, but it's, oh man. Maggie's probably up in heaven thanking her lucky stars that, you know what I mean? Like that she didn't have to spend the rest of her life with that fool. Because I hate what happened to her, that happened to her. But could you imagine if she had to be around him for the rest of her life and the rest of his life? I don't know. Oh man. She's probably laughing with that haircut. You know, man. And then someone commented and they were like, someone took his eyebrows too. I was like, no, they didn't shave his eyebrows. They're just so light. But no, I feel so bad for all the families. And I feel bad for little Gannon. But I am going to jump off of here. You guys all have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm not sure what time we'll do the live. Maybe tomorrow evening. And I do have a couple videos, like I said, I was going to release. So one of them will be probably like in the afternoon. Maybe I'll do one in the afternoon, and then I'll just do one on Tuesday. That way I don't overload you guys too much with videos. The FBI took down the Idaho 4 missing page. Which missing page? Like not the Gonzalez page, right? Oh, Cat's Life has to put her dad to bed. Oh, that's so sweet. Your dad's staying up late. Cat's Life. Yeah, because like I know that they the Gonzalez family page is down, so all the FBI page. Oh, because I have this judicial one. Just nothing's on there. Okay, well, I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great evening. Thank you guys for the super chats and just being here tonight and liking the video, subscribing to the channel, all that fun stuff. We're getting closer to 10,000 Titans. We're going to get that Nancy Grace cutout before we know it. We've got like, you know, most of her body is made. But I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye, guys.